This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
Good morning and welcome to Safari Live. My name is Ollie and joining us behind the camera is still Uncle James, and this is a sunrise safari. So we are coming to you live in the Kruger National Park in South Africa, yes, in the beautiful reserve called Djuma. So for any questions or comments, type that hashtag SafariLive on Twitter or YouTube chat stream. So our mission for today is to go and look for Tlalamba and see what she was up to after the show. Maybe she got herself something to eat, something bigger, because she ate a mongoose. She didn't eat a mongoose. She grabbed the mongoose and she let it go. So I think she was craving, or she was looking for a bigger meal than a mongoose. I had an awesome night. Hope everyone had an awesome night. Or if you're still in daylight, I hope you're still enjoying your day. So let me use my spotlight. It's still dark. Maybe I'll see the red eyes between these bushes. You know, when I see the red eyes, it means it might be a cat. Because leopards, when you flash the spotlight or the light, then their eyes will reflect red. Tlalamba was in a hunting mode yesterday. As we saw her, she was busy looking and searching around for an opportunity. Let me stop a little bit and listen to these beautiful calls of the morning. It's why we are listening to these beautiful sounds, and maybe we'll hear the lions or the leopard. Let's go to Ellie and she will say good morning.
Good morning, everyone. All right, I'm gonna stop here before I get tangled in all the cables and things, and just to say hello to everyone once more. My name is Ali, and on camera with me today is David, who's very happy to be on board on this nice and humid and a little bit chilly morning. We don't really know what we're gonna be looking for. We've decided to give the guys a chance to go and look for Tlalamba, because she is definitely a treat when she's in that playful mood. And yesterday, I think we all had a wonderful day with her. She was just, just being a little growing cat. Now, where's the spotlight? So I think we're gonna go check the southern part, see if perhaps, we can will Shidulu to come our way with her little fluff balls. Shidulu is a female leopard that has got tiny little cubs. Unfortunately, we haven't been able to see them yet because they tend to hang out on a property where we cannot drive. But, there's always a possibility of them coming here because, as some of you may know, the political boundaries that are the roads are not respected by, or do not apply, I should say, rather, to the leopards or pretty much any creature. And then, of course, there's always a possibility of finding the birthday boy who is still playing shy, maybe, as we said, eating his impala cake somewhere else. But hopefully we'll be able to see him a little bit later as the sun starts coming out. I have a feeling that sunset today, or not sunset, sunrise is going to be a little bit later. What are these tracks? Oh, hyena tracks. Alrighty. That the sunrise is going to be a little bit later because it seems to be quite overcast. So who knows? There is a very humid feel to the air this morning, almost when you know that the rain is coming, or you can start feeling that everything is coming up and it's building up. So apparently there was a storm, warning issued for the Limpopo region, which is the region that we're in South Africa. Although, actually, technically speaking, we're in Mpumalanga, which is a region right next to Limpopo. But, don't know. Doesn't seem like there's going to be too much happening. James Henry is hoping for wild dogs and leopards to be around. Hopefully. James Richard. Okay, well, I'm pretty sure James Henry shares the sentiment, so that's why I wasn't surprised with that comment. We can only hope that they are around. It would be a good way to start the morning. We're definitely going to try and see if we can find them. If we can just get above this ditch and start looking for them. I mean, we can ask for all of them. Wild dogs chasing leopards, treeing a kill. I reckon that's a nice sighting. Let's see if we can find anything down this road. I haven't been down this road yet, and it's quite fun because for whatever reason, whenever you set out and drive, you have a rough plan, as in like, oh, well, you know, I want to go check this area, I want to go here, or I want to try and see how this particular area is doing. And so far, none of my plans have worked. I always end up going into a bit of a different area, but I'm not complaining because the sightings, as usual, have been pretty good. So now I want to go check out everything over there, down towards the southern western corner of Juma, see what's happening. It used to be a very nice area, and I remember not last winter, but the winter before, it was where we would always find Shadow. Shadow is the missing sister of Tandi, who also had a cub that was, I think, roughly Tlalama's age by the time that we last saw her. And it was very pretty. And they loved that road because they were mounts, and then they would go up and down, and we had so much fun that winter following them. So who knows, maybe they'll be there. Giraffe Girl, maybe Hosanna will be also down there. Who knows, that'll be one way of trying to find him, although I haven't seen him down that particular corner. I do know that he's been in the vicinity of those areas, but he seems to prefer more the eastern and southern side of Juma, and then of Juma, and then he goes into Little Gowrie and Chitwa and Vessels and all those areas down there. I don't know. Michael, of course, we can look for hyenas as well. We're always on the look for anything that's moving. That's not an impala that I cannot shine the light at. Like the ones that we're about to pass, that we're just going to allow to be in the darkness. There we go. I even had a little one. But yes, if we do come across any hyenas, I know there's been I'm pretty sure that there was a smaller, there's a smaller one behind. Sorry. Hello, but you are not an impala. You look like a duiker. So we've got two species of antelope here. The tiny little one is called a duiker. The name derives from the Afrikaans word duiker, which means to dive. Am I correct there, Davi? Yeah. Ha. And the impala that's just looking at it. All right, is this where the good grass is, guys? Are you the rebels that are just hanging out by themselves? Seems like it is. So everybody's waking up, trying to catch the breakfast, and we are also going to go and try and catch hyenas, leopards, lions, pretty much anything. There's nothing better, actually, and I love this, but like hyena dance are one of my most favorite things to watch because they are so entertaining. If the little ones are outside, if not, like all dance, it gets a little bit boring because you're just there waiting in anticipation, stressing like, come out, little ones. And I know the fact that that ribbon and them haven't been spotted at their den is something that is becoming a challenge for everyone, let's put it that way, just to figure out where this den is, because we all want to see it. We all want to know who's there, what's happening. I wonder what's happening to my lights. I think one light, there we go. Now the one light is back. So yes, hyenas are always on the cards. But pretty much everything else is. What is happening here? So you see there in front of us on the road. I'm going to try and switch off the one light to make it a little bit better. But not all of them. We've got some elephants that during the night they have been around and feeding. Potentially there's a marula tree not too far from here. So overnight they have been causing chaos on the road. Judging by the amount of tracks, I'm going to assume that there was more than one. Also a lot of dung in all different spots. So it's a good indication that elephants don't necessarily sleep throughout the night. And most animals out here in the bush, they don't have patterns like us humans that we've learned to have, where you go to bed at night and then you wake up in the morning and you have at least 8 hours of inactivity, or that's what people say that you should have. Most animals, and like we saw with the impala and the duiker that we're feeding, they have sleeping bouts. They don't really have a set, and they won't be as active during the night as they are during the day for the diurnal creatures, of course, but they'll Let's take the impala, for example, and the elephants. They'll sleep for a little while, they'll wake up, they'll start feeding again, then they will either digest or go to sleep a little bit again and then carry on. So this was perhaps even from last night, and I wouldn't be surprised if we came across some more of them that have been moving early hours in the morning. So it's always a good thing to see what's been happening around. And it's one of the cool things about going on a sandy road in the morning, because then you can see all the news and everything that's been happening. Whew, okay, I'm going to hold on to the spotlight and concentrate a little bit more on the tracks. But we're going to send you guys across to Toli, who's also on the leopard hunt.
Well done, Ellie, for spotting impalas and duikers. I still have no luck yet, but looking forward to scratch every bush and to lift every rock I will find. So I will be looking for Kalamba on the northeast corner, because there's a pen there, a water hole. So she was last seen there. So now I'm approaching the north part of the reserve, which is the Beffelsoek cut line. And what's interesting about Kalamba yesterday, okay, I'll tell you now. Let me look here, because we have a junction, a four-way road. So we need to check for the tracks in these places. So Kalamba didn't eat the mongoose yesterday because I think it's not about her being not hungry. It's about the glands that mongooses produce, because they have this anal gland, and I think it tastes bad. That's why she left the mongoose. That's what I thought. So we are now on Beffelsoek cut line. So to the viewers, what would you like to see this morning? And for your answers, you can send any animal you'd love to see this morning by using #SafariLive on Twitter. And the viewers saying, some of the viewers, they say they would love to see Hosanna boy. I would also love to see Hosanna because he's missing. On his birthday, he was not here. Yesterday, he was not here. And I sang a very nice song for him, but he didn't show himself. I'd be so glad to see Hosanna. And I've stopped earlier on to listen to the surrounding. I only heard the birds calling. Sherry wants to know, do the animals come to the road? Yes, Sherry, they do come to the road, more especially the mongoose. I've never seen a white-tailed mongoose yet, but its track is always on the road. And the other animals that they love to be here are the birds, which are called, these ones are called would you guess that call? Or let me give an answer for that call. It's a fiery-necked nightjar. They're always on the road, especially at night. And I've seen lions lying on the road. I've seen impalas lying on the road. And a lot of animals. Look what we have here. And there's an animal that's on the road. Big right now. Talking about, oh, let me turn off the lights. Here is a scrappy. This guy is always on the road. Always on the road, out and about. So I think this is where they feel safe, especially at night. These guys, they hide in the thicket, in the grasses during the day. They can be active during the day, but they are more active during the night. Where's Hosanna? Oh. Doesn't want anything to do with Hosanna. That's why it left the spot. Sorry about that. I'm starting the car. Oh, sorry about that. Let me go back a little bit because we're in a steep here. Yes, Scribe. I'm also laughing at Scribe. Maybe the Scribe will give us an answer of where Hosanna was last seen. I'd love to see the boy. I'd love to see the boy. Love to see the chip. More especially his... I don't know whether I get your name right, but it's Lasper. What animals do I normally see or mostly see on the road? Mostly it's this rabbit we saw right now. It's a scrub here. It's always on the road, always on the road. Especially when it gets darker, they come out to the road and show themselves to us. And as I've said, that bird, fiery neck nightjar, is always on the road. Who knows, maybe we'll be lucky to then see more than 2 leopards. Tingana, Hosanna, Talamba, or Tandi. I missed the bird there. I'm sorry about that, birdie. And it was about to make a call. It was a woodland kingfisher. Chip. Totally Two Toes would love to see the birds during the sunrise. Yes, I would also love that, especially when they start calling and the sun goes up. I think that's beautiful. It's amazing. Can you hear that? Let me stop a bit here. This is a dry river bed. Let me stop here and listen to the cicadas. You can hear the cicadas around. And the Cape Turtle Dove, they've already started calling. Wake hard, wake hard. They're not drinking lager today, it's a Monday. I'm sure they won't be drinking lager this morning, these Cape Turtle Doves. It's a Monday. Okay, Uncle James, let's proceed. Maybe we'll be lucky to see tracks on the road. Okay, while I'm still searching, I'll be lucky. I promise I'll be lucky, and I'm hoping, I'm praying. Let's go to Ellie.
Intensive interval training or high intensity interval training. It's very thick now. But yeah, I wish I could run like I really do. Hi. Something seems to have happened to my comms because I did not catch that. And it's because somehow this got unplugged. Now that it all makes perfect and absolute sense. Now I've got everybody in my ear and I can see what's going on. So we've been coming up this road that I was telling you about earlier, the road where Shadow used to spend a lot of time in, just in the hopes that Shidula perhaps will be around here. We haven't come across any tracks, and I mean, we are going on a bit of a limp here, a leap of faith, hoping that she will come. But if she does bring the cubs around to this area, I'm pretty sure that this is where she's gonna pop out at some point, either here or down by the Brown Ivory, which is where we were a little bit earlier. Funny enough, the Nkahumas also seem to like that spot. I've seen them down there quite a few times. I was quite surprised with the update that Tristan gave yesterday as well about the Nkahuma being so far down close to Singita. I was like, no, what are you doing? That's not your area, come back. But who knows, hopefully in the next little while they'll come back around. I feel like my guns might not be working this morning. Yeah, okay. Darby says they're fine, so I'm gonna believe him. Alrighty, not too much happening down here. Seems like this road has gotten particularly thicker since the last time that I drove it. Now, it's quite complicated. If you see all the trees and things, that's what we're dealing with. So although we can go slow and then just try to look in between the branches and the gaps, if something is about maybe 10-15 meters away from the road, then it becomes increasingly difficult to be able to spot it, particularly because we are still in low light conditions. And of course, because everything on top of a termite mound looks like a leopard. But I just want to double check, just in case we don't miss it. No, I don't even know what I saw on this termite mound that prompted me to think that perhaps there was a sleepy cat on there. No, I also don't see anything. I think it was more wishful thinking than anything else. Okay, wrong termite mound. We'll carry on looking for one that might have a leopard. Walter, welcome. We're very happy that you are coming onto the show, and I understand that you are a new viewer. Yes, we tend to see quite a lot on the safaris, but we have to look for things first to be able to find them. And in the mornings, early mornings is a little bit slower, I would say some days. It's not always like this, because we actually have to get out and start looking for the creatures, see where they've spent their evenings, what they've been up to. So it's part of the wild. Gives a bit of a better idea of what it actually is to be on safari, because the animals that we have here are not colored in any way, and we do not track them other than by following their footprints or actually finding them out on the bush. But yesterday, for example, we had a very good day. Morning and afternoon we had leopards, both, well, in the morning we had a leopard here, and then in the afternoon we had a leopard here and one in the Masai Mara, which was stunning. Lions are often featuring, so are hyenas and all species of antelope. I think just this morning it almost seems like everybody's having trouble getting their week started. We have seen a few antelope here and there, but the visuals haven't been great and they're far into the bush. So as the sun starts coming out and us presenters and cameramen and everybody else can see a little bit better, then I'm sure that we're going to be able to start potentially pinpointing more animals that might be out here in the bush. The tricky part is also I have chosen a very thick road to drive on because I haven't driven this road for a while, so there's a lot of vegetation on both sides that prevents me to have a clear visual of things that might be out and about. But this is the type of road that animals like leopards, which are a little bit shyer in nature, like to live in. So it's always a challenge. We've got to find things if we want to enjoy them. And I'm sure we will get to something at some point this morning. Oh, also, how can I forget? Yesterday we had wild dogs as well, morning and afternoon. Now, the wild dogs are a very beautiful yet endangered species of dog that looks very much like a dog. I don't know if you were watching yesterday, but they are potentially the most endangered predator of southern Africa and the second most endangered predator in the African continent after the Ethiopian wolf. So it's always very special to spend time with them, but unfortunately they don't stand still. They require very big territories to move around, to go look for prey. So once they get into an area, chances are that you're going to see them for maybe about a drive, 2 drives, then they go off, and then just as they went off, they might come back, and then they might come back again, or leave, and you won't see them for weeks, and then they come back again. It's quite something with them. I feel like we're getting there. It's a bit of a darker day as well today. There's a thick cloud cover that's making the sun not shine through as it should at this time of the morning. So just to add a little bit more to the conditions that we're going through. Beautiful. Lana, you're absolutely right. Sometimes the slower drives are actually even more interesting. Well, I don't know if more, but like as interesting, because you are able to stop and focus on the little things. You can spend more time talking perhaps about, as you say, about bugs, about insects, about flowers, vegetation, and other processes that you normally perhaps wouldn't stop and talk for because you've got a big animal that you want to show. Or by a big animal, I mean pretty much any animal. So it's always, you've got to take the bush as it comes, because there's always a lesson hidden somewhere, and there's always an interesting fact waiting to be told or waiting to be heard. Oh, I'm getting my romantic novel personality on now. But yes, it's very I actually sometimes prefer the slow drives, and going on walks is particularly interesting because then you focus on all the tiny little things that you wouldn't normally see on a drive. Often because you're on the car, so you miss a lot of things because you're going a little bit faster, you're not at the same ground level, so you don't see certain things as well as you should when you are on drive. Now I think I'm gonna go check around Impala Plain, see what's happening up there. Maybe the wild dogs would have come around. I don't think Shiduda will be down there, but if we have to, at one point, Davi, then I feel like we've got to man up and go brave Triple M and Gowrie Main and see what's happening there. So the reason why I don't want to go on that road is, well, it's the main road that divides Juma from other reserves, but it's a horrible road because a lot of trucks go through that road, so especially after the rains, a lot of corrugation starts in that road. So every time you go, you're like, like... In case you guys, well, I don't think you guys would have been able to see that, but Davi's now standing up in the back of the camera. I'm sure anticipating the moment we go through that road. Can you see these trucks here on your side? Sorry, we were discussing that I am unfortunately not too much of a tall person, so... Alright, luckily our cameramen are skilled in finding out the tracks for the important animals, so we act as teamwork. These are old hyena tracks that we're looking at, and they're barely visible. So I'm going to see if we can maybe find a better one. If we drive super slow, we can talk about the bacteria and amoebas. Well, I wouldn't really have a lot to say about them because there's... How can I put this? The bacteria play a very important role in breaking down the environment, or, some of them are even bring diseases and so on, and just regulating everything that happens in the ecosystem. But I think I wouldn't think that would allow us to see them at a microscopic level. We would need some sort of specialized instrument for those things. And perhaps somebody that is more into, what is this? So maybe let's see if we can you see these tracks on the side? Yep. I'm going to try to move so that you guys can see the tracks that we've been looking at. So if you see that pretty track, get out of the car now that you have been able to see it. Okay, Davi is now going to move to color because we've been in infrared so that we can shine the light to some of the creatures. Is it this track? Yeah. Okay, so if you see over here, then we've got the toes here, and then we've got the lobes at the back, and then this animal has been walking all the way down there. So this is where the toes are. You can see the separations, 1, 2, 3, and there was a fourth one here, but perhaps because of the sand, then you cannot see it. It's not a fresh track. It's actually been pretty much blown over by the wind and so on, but especially with the toes, you see that when an animal walks, and it would be the same with us, as you walk, then you sink into the sand a little bit. So this is why you get these big crevices around. And in the sand in particular, especially if it's very sandy patches like this, often the tracks look a lot bigger than what the actual track really is. So when we see animals walking here, although you might think that perhaps it's like a big hyena or a big lion or a big leopard, sometimes it's actually not that big. It's just that the track, because of the soil, looks a little bit bigger than what it is. So when going tracking and looking for creatures, this is also one of the things that we've got to keep in mind. What type of terrain have they been walking in? Is it hard ground, in which case the tracks are going to appear a little bit smaller, or is it soft ground like this one where the tracks are going to appear a little bit bigger? Oh, all right. There are so many cables running down my back that it's a little bit tricky to keep track of all of them. All right, but I am back now. So it seems like these guys have been walking in that general direction. As I said, I don't think it's a particularly fresh track, perhaps from early evening last night. And somebody's been moving around here. But we are quite far from where the Elephant Plains clan would be. I'm not too sure. I don't think there's another clan that could be around here. Now this is the area where we started looking for the wild ducks yesterday. They actually weren't too far from here in the morning, but they did not, yesterday afternoon. And I think they made a dash down here in the morning, but nothing so far. I don't see too much life happening around here. So I think what we're gonna do is, Davy, brace yourself. We're gonna go brave the main road. Ooh. Lauren, you're wondering if we contribute to any research. So yes, we do. So funny enough, we have contributed to research, or SafariLive has contributed to research in the form of data for master theses. I know Josh Gross recently did a thesis comparing, I think I can't even think of the word now, the way you framed certain things on the BBC and then on SafariLive, if I'm not mistaken. I haven't been able to read the thesis yet. And then, of course, there's a very important project in the Sabi San, or it's not only in the Sabi San, but it's a big cat project called Panthera. So we collect a bunch of research, and then on a little computer you specify where you've seen what animal, if it had a kill, if it was a male, if it was a female, just to keep tabs on the leopard population. So that's basically the main one that we contribute to. And then, of course, as we start working in different areas, like in the Masai Mara, then we also speak to researchers up there, perhaps about hyena sightings that we found, or information, or particular places where we perhaps might have found a den, where we've seen a certain cheetah, and so on, because it is important to have a conservation purpose in everything that you do. I mean, we are here out here twice a day, every day, and it's important just to explain not only why the animals are cool to watch, but why it's important to protect the areas where they're in, and why every animal is important. So what's the best way to do that? Not only to speak to you guys and hopefully try to change your perspectives about certain animals, and just explain why they are cool and why we need them. Like, for example, the hyenas, I know they get very bad reputation. But I feel like we've got a duty just to explain how important it all is. Talking about little things and conservation, it seems like the bushwalk is up and running. So let's head over to Jamie and see what wonders she finds this morning for us.
Good morning, and welcome to the walk portion of this sunrise safari, where the sunrise took so long that we were somewhat delayed in our departure. My name is Jamie, and this morning Sebastian is on camera with me. And this morning we have the very able Rexon from Djuma. He's a Djuma guide who has somehow kindly agreed to accompany us on these foot safaris. I don't like calling them that, it's a bushwalk. As we go out in search of the little things and the big things. Mostly we try and not avoid the big things, but approach them in a way that does not in any way disturb them, because obviously on foot you do not have the protection of the vehicle. The marvelous thing about doing bushwalks at this time of year is that there is so much to look at, all the little things. So we're going to be searching for caterpillars, butterflies, snails, tracks, frogs. I'd love to see a frog. I haven't seen a frog in ages. In fact, that's what I might do. We might make our way towards the pans at a place called Ingwe Alley, because yesterday when I was chasing wild dogs, which was highly unsuccessful, but while we were chasing wild dogs, I smelt something very stinky across in that direction, and I suspect there was some sort of carcass there, so we're going to go and have a look. It might be why the hyenas have been so busy around that area. So that's what the plan is for this morning. We'll see how we go. The gradually darkening mornings that herald our descent into winter. I mean, I know it's only February, but the fact that it wasn't light enough for us to go walking this morning made me very sad. And just speaking about conservation, since Ali's raised it, to those of you wondering about the white armbands, because of course we're all wearing them, it is so that the anti-poaching team knows that we are not here to do any harm, essentially, and they don't waste their time trying to chase us through the bush. Oh, Cal 6, big question. Cal 6 wants to know if... Oh, I'm very nervous, Impala. Cal 6 wants to know if there's any way to know if there's been poachers on the property. The one way to do it is to find their tracks Obviously, poachers are very cautious about leaving tracks behind, and they do all sorts of things to obscure said tracks, but occasionally they make a mistake. I'm not going to go into the full details of ways in which poaching is combated because, well, we'd rather not give anyone any ideas. So, hey, nervous? Nervous Nellies? What's going on? Has it just been a very scary night, or is there something else? You know, James said to me this morning, when he jumped on the car, he said, "You're not going to need your jacket this morning." I have regrets now. I should have worn my jacket. Alright, well, we head off in search of something fun and entertaining to show you. And speaking of fun and entertaining, off you go to Scuba Steve to find out how Scuba Steve is doing on this fine morning.
Buffelshoek Dam is in love this morning. We have couples around the pen, this dam, sorry about that. And it's February, remember that. On far left we have another couple up and about, discussing about Valentine's Day. Hope you will see these geese and this Scuba Steve and his loved one wearing red and white clothing. Hello. You can see their heads. They're discussing some serious issues. You can see their heads like moving backwards and forwards and backwards and forwards. And I think Scuba Steve will get a toothbrush for his date, because Scuba Steve is up and about with his date now, but he hasn't brushed his teeth yet. So you can see Buffelshoek love is in the air. Just swimming and feeding at the same time. You know, they love feeding on algae and grasses around the river. And look at how they put their beak in the water, they do forage, and they also drink while they do this. Can't tell between a male and a female unless they start shouting. I'm not saying ladies, they shout, but the female one is the one that shouts a lot, and then the male one, this one with a low call, like when they're flying. So the female one is the one that says, wah, wah. It's always shouting. I'm not talking about humans, I'm talking about these beautiful birds we are looking at right now. I know ladies are so sweet, nice and calm.
You're going down the rabbit hole.
So I don't think we'll have sunrise this morning. I don't think we'll see the sunlight this morning because the weather is bleak. We have this cover of clouds blocking the sun to bring us the sunlight. And the weather is 23 degrees Celsius this morning. That's 73 degrees Fahrenheit. And Scuba Steve, oh, how are you, Scuba? At least you find yourself a mate, because the water level went up. So this female was attracted, I think, because he was always alone in this dam when the river was lower. Hello, you're blinking for Valentine's. And around this time, you'll normally see them outside, not in water, because the weather is so perfect for them. Oh, it went down. And let's wait and see how long it will take for it to come back.
5,
4,
6,
7.
7.
I think that's about 10 seconds. What do you think, Uncle James?
I agree, 10 seconds.
yes, it's submerged for 10 seconds, but some people, they say it can submerge for about 6 minutes. I've never seen that before, but maybe they are right. Maybe someone somewhere in a different reserve saw a hippo going in the river, in the water, for 6 to 7 minutes, but I've never seen that before. And the sounds are so great. The longest I've seen a hippo underwater is now, because previously I never counted, but now I just counted, and it took 10 seconds in the water and it came out. That means I can say out and proud that it only takes 10 seconds for a hippo to submerge. Sometimes it depends on the mood of the hippo. Question. I got the question, but I didn't get the name. Do the Egyptian geese mate for life? Yes, these birds, they can mate for life unless one pair dies, one member in a pair dies, and then if a female, then the male will go and find himself a mate. So if a male dies, then a female will obviously get a male to mate with. And interestingly, we've seen the geeslings, the young geese, the baby geese, on the other side of reserve, on the southeast of the reserve. We saw the young ones. And strategy is that these geese are not good parents, I can say, because sometimes they are vulnerable to predators to protect the young ones. And we can see now if they are swimming and floating on top, a crocodile might come from under and grab one chick or grab one of these big guys. So that's why it has a lot of geeslings. So that's why even if the predator will smash a few, then a few more will survive. Sometimes a predator, we can smash all the chicklings. Not chicklings, geeslings. Sorry about that. Love is in the air this morning. Let me proceed, Uncle James. Let's proceed and see whether we can find a spotted cat. My spotlight is down now because you have the natural light. Hello, Scuba Steve. Oh, it smells so nice this morning. We are in search for leopard. Let's go to Ellie, who's looking for leopards.
Well, at this stage, we're looking for anything with a heartbeat, as this popular safari saying goes. We haven't actually been lucky with anything. We've just seen some impala here or there, but nothing too eventful. And I think they're a little bit cold because they've all been lying down in between the bushes. Now, I was hoping, I'm going to try and put you in a better position, David. The other day we came driving, and then on the fallen over Marula, you see the branch that goes down here? Yep. And then there towards the middle, there's a bit of a hole. I think you're in the wrong branch. This one on, yeah, to the right. Yeah, there, a little bit. Yeah, there's just one stick right in front of it. Yeah, if you go like here, you see where my finger is? That hole. So in that hole, unfortunately, there is one branch in front, so I'm going to try and better my parking skills so that there's not one in there. We saw a little barbet coming out of there the other day, a black colored barbet, which is one of the prettiest barbets, and it's got one of the most stunning calls. And the beauty about the call, and I'll play it for you guys on my fantastic bird app in a second, is that it's two birds that call so in perfect unison that you can almost think that it's one. And ironically, it's not a bird that we see a lot here. We hear it quite often, but it's not as easy to spot. So we saw one coming out the other day. I came out with Trisha, Latoli, and Lauren to do a bit of trees and learn a little bit more about the processes and everything and why trees are cool, which I struggle to explain. And I can't even find this Tinkerbird. No, where are the barbets? And we saw a little black-colored barbet coming out of it. And it was funny because I turned around and I just see this red thing peering from the bark of the tree. And I was like, what is that? Is the tree sick? What does it have? And then all of a sudden, I realized it was this little part of the bird sticking out. So there's a bird nest there. I have no doubt about it because otherwise, why would he be in there? But unfortunately, it seems like either we got it a little too late and it's out, or it's having a bit of a sleep in and it's not in there. So as the name suggests, black colored barbet, because of this beautiful black color that it's got here, and it's got this beautiful bright red face. Now, interestingly, there's a morph like this one that you see here, which is the yellow morph that I have never seen in the wild. So, well, I have never seen, period, other than in an illustration of the book. So maybe one day. Now, I want to get my phone so that I can play the call for you guys because it's such a beautiful call. I think it might be one of my favorite calls in the wild, now that I think about it. I mean, for birds. My favorite call in the wild is definitely a roaring lion. Black colored barbet. There we go. Let me just try to play the call. So that's what the call sounds like, and that whole like it's two birds singing in perfect duet, just to reinforce their bond and then show everything. I was hoping that they'll be around, but it seems like this morning everyone's taking the morning quite easily. So not in there, but at least we know that that's one of their preferred spots. They normally make their own little nest. They've got very big beak. Either that or they've stolen somebody else's nest and they've evicted them. But very beautiful. Right, we're going to send you guys across to the bushwalk.
Now, my favorite story about the black-collared barbet, because of course you will have heard that they sing in a duet from Ali. But one of my favorite things, actually I don't even know if it would count as a favorite thing or just the saddest thing I've ever seen, was one lone male black-collared barbet. And I heard the sound that sort of went doo, doo, and it was almost an acacia-pied barbet, but not quite. And then I realized it was a black-collared barbet without its partner. Now, this is something that we are seeing lots of at the moment. One almost wonders why elephants bother half the time to eat the marulas. They are really, and this is not an old elephant. Now, typically you will see a lot of undigested material in an old elephant's dung because, of course, their teeth are wearing down and they don't have a final set to replace them. But this was a young elephant, and I know it's a young elephant because I've been looking at its tracks since we started walking down this road. So it's a young elephant. It's quite a small pile of dung. But I think that they get so overexcited about the marulas that they barely even chew them. Well, there's a little bit there. No, it is a completely inefficient way of going about things. Now, we know that an elephant's... we know that an elephant's digestive system is relatively quick and inefficient in the sense that they defecate out about a third of what they eat. But yes, Tim, absolutely, a marula-infused pile of elephant dung. I remember once seeing Lauren smell elephant dung for the first time, and she wrinkled her nose and went, "Ew, what's that smell?" And we all laughed at her because, of course, an elephant dung smell, if that is the worst thing you smell in your day out here, then it is definitely not the worst thing that you're going to encounter. Chris wants to know if you can still eat them. Yes, you could. As some of you know and will have seen in the past, I'm just going to get rid of the dung off my fingers. Steph has been known to grab a big fresh pile of elephant dung, squeeze it into a container, and then drink the water. So as dung goes, that's why I'm comfortable touching it. It's relatively clean. It's not full of terrible bacteria. If I were to stick my finger into it now and put it into my mouth, I'd probably get sick. Whereas if I were to do that with a pile of leopard or lion scat, I would actually be very, very ill indeed. Or even hyena scat, although I don't think much survives the digestive system of a hyena. So if, say, I wanted to do this, not very warm, not particularly salty, would be quite old, and definitely not the same finger. Now I've just got a really dung-covered finger. So yes, you could eat them. You could, if you really wanted to, but then Seb's just shaking his head. Oh man.
I've got a good stand, but I won't say it.
Yeah, Seb says he's got a great pun, but he can't say it. If you really wanted to eat a marula, you could probably just go fresh one off the ground. Yes, no, we all know which one is the dirty finger. There we go. Oh, yuck. It's not that bad. Nice and cold, though, so we know that it's not in any way fresh. It's still a nice fresh pile of urine, though. Or still a nice damp pile of urine around, but that's because it's been, it's night time. The sun hasn't been out, so it hasn't had much chance to dry. Sammy Jane says, is that why there are so many marula trees around? Partially. If the squirrels don't get to these, and there's a chance that they will, they'll go after the marulas, and they'll go after it not for the fruit, but for the seed inside. But it's been very conveniently opened up for them by the elephants chewing. But if they don't get to them, you can imagine that for this little fruit, which is of course there to provide a method of seed dispersal, it's now literally been planted in a pile of compost. So, for young marulas, not really in a road. I mean, the chance of a young marula tree surviving on a road is, well, it's next to nothing. It's nil, in fact, because it'll just get driven over. But for piles of elephant dung in the middle of the bush, it's a really lovely germinating point for them. They've got plenty of nutrients and food. It's not this harsh, sandy soil that it doesn't have much in it. So yes, it would actually help. Although, how many times have we shown you a baby marula? Not many. They're very, very, very hard to find. So the marula trees that we see are very precious, hence why they are a protected species. A hard life for a baby marula. Everything wants to eat you. Ooh, got up too quickly. There's a second pile of elephant dung. How exciting. The flies are ridiculous. I'm not going to go too close yet. Oh, this elephant did a bit better when it comes to the chewing job. This one actually chewed his marulas before he swallowed them. Those flies are... I don't think I've seen flies like that in years. On piles of elephant dung. What a strange year it has been. Insect life has not been as expected to me. I haven't seen any orb spiders. Okay, not an insect, but the sort of the small things life with limited lifespans. I haven't seen many spiders. I haven't seen that many scorpions, but flies and those tiny, tiny little blister beetles have been the order of the day, and mosquitoes. Every time I walk into my bathroom, there's a cloud of mosquitoes that take off. Makes those early morning bathroom trips highly unpleasant. Sure. Lots and lots of flies. And definitely a more successful marula fruit eater, by far. I'm going to find a marula fruit that hasn't been through the digestive tract of an elephant. You never know, it might at some point get to the point where it's considered a delicacy, like civet coffee or something like that. Right, we're going to go in search of something.
Talking about the marula, Ellie, we very much associated with marula where I'm from, but I won't be telling you about how we make the beer, but how we celebrate when we are drinking the marula. Sibeta ingadla, that means we dance traditionally, and the leg must go up and it must be dusty. Yes, I need a flat ground to show you this thing I'm talking about. I think here's a flat ground here. I'll only need to go out.
Will you be dancing now?
Yes, I'll be dancing. Just 2 seconds. I'm going out. Ha! By a stick. And then we have to have a song there. You have to have a song. Yemadiliza, wemadiliza nkani, oteti nkani yamadoda. My mic. Hey, John. Wemadiliza wenzani, waceti nkani yamadoda. Hey, Johannesburg yangi. Hey, wait. And while the bucket full of marula beer is here, then we sit around that bucket, we drink it one by one, and then we have to clap. A nice morning, indeed. Thank you, Ellie, for mentioning the marula fruit. That's what we do at home when we are drinking the marula fruit. Let's proceed. I hope you all enjoyed that. That's me when I'm home. More especially around this time when... Oh, thank you, loving my moves. But you won't see any dust because the substrate is still hard. Which language do I speak when I'm home? It's Ndebele language. I think it's FC wants to know which... Yes, I'm sorry if I got your name right. The language I speak when I'm home is Ndebele. We call it East Ndebele, and we are the Ndebele people. It's one of the smallest tribes you can find here in South Africa, and one we are within our language is within the official languages of South Africa. So, but if you go on Google and Google the Ndebele people, it won't show any results about South Africa. It will tell you about people in Zimbabwe from the Matabele land. But we're different from them because we are the Zulus, and there's Manalas, and there's ones from Matabele land. Those ones are not related to us because the Matabele land, they are derived from the Zulus, and we're not from the Zulus. Umzelekazi. And we were one of the colorful tribes. You'll see the paintings in our houses. Oh, Marcel in FC is saying I must explain more about the Ndebele people in Zimbabwe. I don't know a lot about them, but what I've Googled was, are they related to us, like the Ndebele people in South Africa? They are not related much. They're not related at all because they are not from the same people they left, or the tribe they left at the time. So the Matebele people, they speak Ndebele and they speak Shona in Zimbabwe, but they don't speak the same Ndebele we are speaking. Because if I can tell you this. Ndebele, let me tell you about this. Umvumo lo uhamule kuhle njengehapa wangahaba liyarhitsha. Let me repeat that. Umvumo lo uhamule kuhle njengehapa langahaba liyarhitsha. I'll explain that more when we are coming back from Ali.
We have managed to find a tiny little creature that loves living and walking across the roads. It's a beautiful Specs henchback tortoise. It was actually walking down the road with a lot of determination, so much that it almost reminded me of an elephant, bull, and must when they walk with that attitude as in, out of my way, car, I'm coming. And then all of a sudden it decided it was too much and then went back into the vegetation. So, oh, look at that tiny little toe. And then there's the henchback that just protects their tail and everything else and from potential predators. So when somebody comes and just tries to eat them, and many things will predate upon them. We have seen leopards trying to eat them, the ground hornbills, hyenas even. What they do is they just tuck their heads and their legs back inside their shell, their carapace, and then pretty much hide. Either that or they go into hiding themselves just to make it a little bit harder for anything to find them. So you see, this is what they will do during the day or during the hot parts of the day, or especially in the winter time when it becomes very dry and it becomes a little bit counterproductive for them to be moving around because of the lack of water. So they'll find a little spot and they'll actually go and estivate and then dig a little hole and then just stay there. Their metabolism will slow down. So it's a lot of like hibernation, but hibernation is more referred to warm-blooded animals, whereas this is a tortoise, so it's a cold-blooded animal. Funny enough, not too long ago in December, we saw there were 3 tortoises on a termite mound that clearly had decided that was the spot to spend the dry patch of the day. And was it December? I think it was December, before the big rains came, and they were all hiding in there, and it was actually a honey badger that got lucky and started digging them out. So by the time we arrived, it was the honey badger digging the 3rd tortoise out of the mound, just eating it. It was very sad because, I mean, there were just tortoise parts all over the show, but the honey badger was very happy. So it got lucky and probably just detected them by the sense of smell, managed to find out where the tortoises were, and then started digging them up with their very powerful claws. So the claws that we saw on the tortoise a little bit earlier on, also just for digging, to be able to go in there. Yeah, I don't think we're going to be able to see it again. It's either dug itself in or it just carried on going towards the vegetation. But as they would say, onwards and forwards we go. We haven't come across any leopard tracks or any lion tracks or any other animals, to be honest. We did have a warthog that, because it knew it was not on camera, decided to stay for quite a while, because often they're very nervous creatures and they'll just look at us and they'll turn around and then look at you with their big tusks and then be like, no, panic, and then they run with their little tails up like this, which I always find hilarious. I mean, some of the mechanisms in nature just to be able to signal and flag where somebody is running, I think they're funny. And the warthogs running with their tails up like that is potentially one of the funniest views that you can see. Now we're gonna head towards Twin Dams, where we checked Treehouse Dam. There was really nothing much happening in there, and I'm still surprised to see how little water there is. I mean, we've had a lot of rain. Who knows? Maybe with this weather warning that we've got today, we'll have a lot of rain today, but we're gonna need almost like a flood to be able to fill up all the dams. But who knows? In my experience in South Africa, we get most of our rains in February, March. And normally March, especially down by the Sabi River, that's where March was the time. And I only know this because on my birthday, every time I've been out to work, because my birthday is at the beginning of March, we always have a flood of some sort. So everyone's stressing and it's raining and, well, you know, it's just the way it is. I can't believe it's almost March. It's just 1 month away. It's actually 1 month to the date for my birthday. How's that? I hadn't even thought of that. Tristan be better buying me a camera this year. Anyway, let's carry on and be serious, see if maybe we can find any hyenas or anything else. I want to try and see that also, like that old hyena den. Did you see something there, Davy? Okay. Yeah, we can check, please. I mean, I spotted a nothing on top of a termite mound. Just say when? Alright, so Davy might have seen something and he jumped on the seat, so we're gonna check because that was a lot of action coming from him. It's nothing. Well, good effort though. I mean, it's good to know that you're awake. But no, nothing there. But that's how we find things, either by tracking them or by accidentally spotting them, which is, I find, almost the most rewarding one, because then you feel like you're like, ah, yes, I found it. And ironically, I remember the one occasion, I think it was Taylor that had a lion hunt. You see, now I'm seeing things. Now I also saw a leopard on that termite mound, but there's nothing. No. So I've always wondered about this, because you guys see often a frame that we don't, or you're able to maybe pinpoint things that sometimes like we just miss because we don't see it. But I think it was Taylor that had that sighting, and I remember the girls in FC, particularly Jerry. So Taylor was framing the shot, and then she was like, no, there's a lion here somewhere, or actually she was framing a buffalo. That's what happened. And they were framing a buffalo, and they knew that the lions were somewhere in the area, but they didn't know where. And Jerry just walked into FC, and she was like, there's a lion there. And she wasn't on drive or anything. She could just see it in the frame. And neither Taylor, and I think maybe the cameraman was Craig, could see it. Eventually, obviously, they saw them, but it was from the frame of you guys that it was actually then communicated. I was like, no, they're there to your right or to your left. I can't remember that exact part, but we were laughing. We were, you know, it's a mutual effort from all the sides to hold on. I nearly went the wrong way around. Right, I heard that some of you might ultrasound to get me a camera for my birthday. Just hint at a mirrorless. That's aiming for here. They're too heavy. No, I'm joking. Well, see what happens. Ooh, what are these trucks? Old hyena trucks. There's so much activity all the way down to Twin Dams. I'm sure they've got to have their den here, and I know they have had it at Little Gowrie for a little while. There's also a big clan scene that likes to hang around not too far. So Little Gowrie is another property that is not too far from here, and their main lodge is not far. It would make sense because hyenas have a habit of going around lodges. Around here, see what we can find. Hopefully some tracks, but while we do that, we'll send you guys back across to Jamie, see if she's found any interesting tracks herself.
Cool, so I have no idea what was just said, but we are standing at the pans at Ingwe Alley, and what's distressing is I remember bushwalks often where we used to come to this area and we'd find at least one frog, or if you didn't see a frog, you'd see the splashes as they all dove for safety off the reeds where they were hanging out, spending time searching for food. And now I don't see anything. There's a foam nest frog nest. Foam nest frog nest? There's a foam nest frog nest over there. We've seen a fair few of those. But I haven't even managed to find a foam nest frog, which usually around these sorts of pans you find them most often on the magic guaries, the adult frogs. And they're so beautifully camouflaged, perhaps it's that, but I don't know. I feel like we're really getting the repercussions now of 3 years worth of much lower than average rainfall. The 1 year I think it was about a quarter or a fifth of our average annual rainfall. Last year was a quarter, I believe, or around about a quarter. Might have been a third if we were really lucky. And this year is not shaping up to be that different. Yes, there's water now, but there should be. It's February. There should be water everywhere. We should be struggling to drive off-road. We should not be finding things as easy as we are in terms of off-roading and all of those sorts of things. I don't know if it's my absence, the time spent in the Mara, and I've forgotten things, but I don't think I have. I've seen very few chameleons. I've seen very few frogs, snakes, scorpions. I've seen all of these things. I don't know. It's not a very nice feeling. The bush feels a little bit more empty, or at least emptier than it ever has before at this time of year. Oh, there's caterpillars and there's snails every now and again, but already, since we last had a little bit of rain, they've all but largely vanished and become that much harder to find. I know, remember, Deneo. Was it Deneo? Was that the storm that we had? Steph's Great Deluge, where I got into trouble and got us all kicked out of... Oh no, it wasn't that time. It was a different time when I played music. I played music and got us kicked off every single social media stream for copyright infringement. Oops, but it wasn't that time. But we had... It's gone again, I think. Seb's also sneezing. Yeah. Go away. Either sneeze or don't. And stick somewhere in the middle. But we had a massive... I'm getting emotional at the memories of the frog fight. We had a massive downpour. It wasn't quite as massive as it was predicted to be. I think we had to cancel a drive. But it wasn't, it really wasn't nearly as serious as it was predicted. I think we had about 20 mils and a chair blew over. It was predicted to be quite bad. But anyway, there was a huge puddle on Shabam Road. And we had bullfrogs wrestling each other and throwing each other around. It was great. I think I spent about an hour and a half there. And now I don't think I've seen a bullfrog. I think I've heard them twice. And I've seen one at home in Hoedspruit. But other than that, I haven't seen one. I certainly haven't seen one in the puddle here. It's all swings and roundabouts. At some point we're going to have a wet year again. But not anytime soon. Doesn't look like it. I'm very disappointed in this year. I really thought it was going to be different. I thought it was going to be special. So what we're doing at the moment is, I said that I smelt something bad around here. We're going to go see if we can smell it again and perhaps figure out what it was. I'm a bit worried we're on a wild goose chase though, because I think whatever it was smelling like that it smelled bad enough that it was quite old. So perhaps it was a very, very old leopard kill. I bumped into Ribbon on my way home last night after we finished the safari. So the hyenas are around. And who knows, maybe we'll get lucky. Maybe we will find a den. It's one of my favorite grass species. Hopefully, I'm going to take it home and test people on it. Natal red top. The riper the seeds get, the redder the fluff becomes. Very common on roadsides and disturbed soils. And super, super soft seeds. It's very pretty grass. I just think it's very pretty. It's a very pretty grass species. Anyway, Natal red top, also very useful for if you're trying to determine wind direction and you don't happen to have an ash bag with you, which of course naturally we do. And if you find yourself in a situation where you can't kick dirt up, wind's coming very softly this way. Alright. So while we've been talking depressing things about drought, Oli's been far more entertaining this morning. He's telling you all about his life, his upbringing and his heritage. Let's go and find out some more.
Yes, I was entertaining. Thanks for that. So we are driving patiently and slowly around the block where Kalambo was last seen. No luck yet, but we'll search everywhere for her this morning. And what worries me is this, that the boundary, the north boundary, which is called the Bethel-Sook cut line, is not far from this block. So I think she went that side. But I will also go to that boundary and check whether there are tracks going out of the property or coming into the property. And I've been listening to the calls around here. I didn't hear any alarm calls from squirrels, birds, or antelopes, and I haven't seen any small antelopes since this morning, since I came this side. Oh, I nearly forgot. Umvumo lo uhamule kuhle njengehapa wangakhabalia khicha. That's it in Ndebele, and that line means umvumo, it's a song. Uhamule is to drink. Kuhle, netlope, so good. Njengehapa, like this traditional calabash. Oba is like because it means if you speed up the process while drinking, then it will you will get drunk. Yes, that's the meaning of that. It means you have to drink this traditional beer from a calabash slowly as you can, because if you rush, you'll get drunk quickly. That's the meaning of it. That's Ndebele. Some people, they say Ndebele language is difficult, but for me it's not. And we use a lot of R, use a lot of X, Q. In my language, it's Oli. Yes, Ndebele language also have a click sound, because we have, that's my name is Oli, that's an X, and then a Q is, that's a Q. Yes, Amatanda means eggs, Amatanda. And my name is Oli, starts with an X, and the viewers have been giving me names, and I love it. I love them all. Polly, Tolly, X-Oily, X-Men. I love them all. Oh, here is some antelope here at long last. Maybe someone will tell us where Tlalamba is. Hello, guys. These are the young chaps. You can see they've above a year now. They've survived all this time. And the one at the back there is younger than the one on the front here. You can see the horns. They've already have this. Oh, guys, why are you running away? May you please tell us where Tlalamba is? Why do they look skittish? Because the car stopped, engine is off. I'm not quite sure why they look so nervous, and they've been nervous since I've been here. They're skittish, but I think it's because of the thicket area, or the area where they are right now. That's why they are disturbed maybe by sounds that is made by the trees. And then remember that impalas, if they can't see or view from a distance, they worry a lot, because their safety's been compromised. That's why they love being in the open. They left. Run, impala. If I was you, I would be running like you're doing now. because that place you are right now, it wasn't safe. Yes, does Ndebele have the painted houses? I will just show you a picture from my phone that was sent. My mom sent me this picture. Our neighbor, they've just painted their yard now yesterday. Yeah, a day before yesterday. My mom sent me a picture. Let me show you this picture quickly. Yes, yeah. Here's the look. How nice this is. Does it look? Yes. This is one of the traditional houses. Never mind the mop there and my old trolley there. Sorry about that. Hope you've seen that. Yes, we are one of the colorful tribes, as I've said earlier on, and this is the room that has been painted this weekend by my neighbor. If you come to Siyabuso, which forms part of KwaNdebele, you'll notice colorful houses. They painted this house on Saturday. Yes, it was on Saturday. This room on Saturday, and then they'll paint the rest of the house. Let me go east. But I need to use to check the boundary there so that I'll see whether Kalamba crossed or she did it. Oh, here they're impalas again. Oh, they're running. I'm sorry. Oh, flies. Nazi said it's super epic. If you've been to Pretoria or South Africa before, Gauteng or Johannesburg, that forms part of Ndebele people or Ndebele clan or Ndebele tribe, because there's this big reserve called is in Montana. I forgot the name of this reserve. It's a government reserve. I'll get the name. Our Ndebele king died there by the name of Nyabela. It was like 18 something there. So he died there, and then that's why every year on his birthday we go and gather there and make some good beer there. Oh, it is. The sun has not pierced through the clouds yet. Hopefully it will give us this beautiful light. Yes, James Richard. What an amazing question. Let me stop right here. James Richard wants to know, are there any birds that are associated with the Ndebele people? Yes, we have the hammerkop, which is called a hammerhead, the one we saw yesterday around Chitwa Dam. That bird, it's known for its how can I be like powers? Because if you take this twig or a branch in its nest, and then the rain will fall immediately. I've tried that, but it didn't. So the other thing is that if you get a bird, there's this bird called an owl. If a bird comes and sits on top of the house, and then it starts calling, and then that simply means that's witchcraft. And then we have to chase that bird out or chase that bird away. So those are the things that most people do. And they hate owls. I don't want to lie about that. Where I'm from, most people, they hate owls because they think it's associated with witchcraft. So some other parts of the countries, they do witchcraft. So with, yes, here's a bird with witchcraft. Here's a bird right here. Hello. Oh, it's gone. This one, it's just a normal bird for Ndebele people. And there's this bird called Laxman. Laxman is an Afrikaans name, which is called, I'll go right here. It's a physical shrike. We call it Laxman. The bird that eats other birds. It doesn't do that. It's insects. But we call it like Inyonetlezinye. That's the bird that's eating other birds. We respect that bird because we call it the rain bird. If you see that bird, then it is associated with good rains. So I'm still looking for Kalamba, and I'm in Tingana's territory. Hopefully I'll see Tingana or Tandi. I really need to see Hosanna. I don't know where he is. I'm not lucky this morning, or I will ask the blessings from Tristan. Ravinder, is still Hosanna in the property? I don't know. They haven't seen Hosanna's tracks. I think he's around Tandi's territory, or maybe it's somewhere around the bushes. You know, leopards can camouflage. But with the good trackers and good team, SafariLive team, I think Hosanna is not in the property because Hebi won't miss a track. Uncle James won't miss a track. Tristan won't miss a track. You know, you name them. They won't miss a track. So I think he's not in the property, and I don't think he's in the property. Maybe Torchwood. Or Hosanna is in vacation. Who knows, for his birthday. So he doesn't want to be bothered. Oh, I thought that was something. While we're listening and searching, let's go to Jamie.
I dropped it. That was going to be the most amazing link, but it wasn't. Because I'm in one of my favorite places in Djuma. I love this area. It's actually probably my favorite spot, if I had to choose one. It is just off Twin Dams, between Twin Dams Road and Mulwati. And there's a Tambuti forest off to the east of me. And there is the Mulwati drainage with its giant jackalberries. There's the Tambuti glade. Glade would be a good word. And then there's this wonderful little hidden pan, not visible from the road, which I think is half of its attraction. It's just a pretty little place to come and enjoy some natural time. And I thought I'd practice some juggling, but it's clearly not my thing. I found some Maruda fruits, and I've been doing my best. But they're perfect for it, because they're not ripe. They're quite small, quite hard. But then every time I throw it over the top of my cap, if it goes beyond the brim of my cap, then I can't see it, and then I drop them. Now, what does one do? What does one do from here? You know, are there any jugglers out there? Where do I go from here? Now, I've got 3. Do I need to get both? Do I need to... wait, water! No! Oh. No. Zephyr says that you won't be calling me Jamie the juggler. No, I can't juggle. I don't know where. I don't understand the principle. Now what do I do? Do I try and get two in the air at the same time? Is that the point? And then do I add the fourth one that's by Seb's foot? How do I do this? No, I don't think I can do this. I think I'll stick with 3. Okay, now what?
I think you're supposed to show now, when it lands in your left hand, you're supposed to show it back to your right hand.
Oh, what, like that?
Yeah, kind of. Yeah.
Not quite, though.
No, just basically, you show from left to right, from right to left, and then from left to right.
From right to left and left to right. Seb juggler.
No.
He's giving me guidance.
Too high.
Too high? Sorry. All right. Okay. Do you think it's a slow drive by any chance? Oh gosh. It's raining marula fruits. We have a marula tree that sits on our fence at Inga's, and half of the fruit is just sitting there fermenting because it's on the inside of our fence, and the other side is just bare of fruit where everything can get it. It's amazing to see. And the elephant stare at it in anticipation. 1, 2, whoop! Stop it. Right, moving on. Oh, Seb found a bird nest, by the way. I feel as though we've done these bird nests to death. Oh, thank goodness. The next thing I was going to have to start juggling was bird nests, and from there chainsaws if things hadn't improved. Fortunately, Ali has saved the day.
Seems like we have finally had some luck and we managed to find some living creatures. Yay! We have found a troop of baboons, which I'm pretty sure are the ones that were alarming yesterday morning that we went and looked at, because they're not too far from Twin Dams. So it would make sense for them to have been spending the night somewhere roosting on one of these trees around here, and now they are looking for food. Ooh, there's a typical screams that accompany a baboon troop. There's a lot of fighting in amongst baboons, and a lot of the times bigger males will come in, or males that are lower ranking, I should say, will try to be graced upon by looking after and helping babysit, or they would pretty much be mean to other little baboons and assert their dominance. I think this one up there is doing an interesting take on balancing just to try to get the fruits of this tree, which seems to be either a marula or a false marula. I cannot really see the leaves from here, but I'm gonna go with false marula. That's what I'm gonna go with. I might be, oh, you see, you're just like an elephant. He wanted the one particular branch only to break it and then drop it all the way down, and we give elephants a bad name for that. Guys, you should know better. So either they're looking after the flowers or some of the leaves, or perhaps if they are some of the new buds that are coming out, that's also a good nutritional form for them. Oh, more screaming. Patty, you think the baboons can juggle? I wouldn't be surprised. I'm sure they could learn that trick. It's all about muscle memory. And funny enough, I went through a juggling phase when I was younger. I got all my family involved. We started doing playing with juggling like at school, but juggling balls. So it's not that easy to learn a few tricks, but it's definitely a lot of muscle memory. So I wouldn't be surprised that baboons could actually learn that. Sorry, I just thought I heard something behind us, and this is a particular area where we think, or we're suspicious that a leopard could be hiding in, or might have had a kill in the last few days now, only because the baboons have been barking often from this spot. And we, one of the guys at in Koro, so a male leopard come out of this block a few days ago, heavily salivating, that skittish male, I believe. So, I mean, it's always good to come and check around here. Also, where some of the hyena tracks have been leading, but other than the baboons, we have found that the area is quite deserted and quite quiet. It's just this guy is making a noise on top of the tree. Why are you guys there? I want to actually, the idea of this tree is bothering me, so I want to have a closer look at some of the leaves to be able to Caroline, we don't have howling monkeys here in South Africa. We do have howling monkeys in South America, though. And they're very common in Venezuela, and they're very funny little things. They have a beautiful reddish color, and they make a lot of noise. And funny enough, just like baboons, as a self-defense mechanism, they tend to poop and throw it at you if they don't feel comfortable with your presence. So I've avoided a few of those, both from baboons and howling monkeys when back in Venezuela, which is where I'm from. But the baboons are very vocal creatures, and I'm sure you've heard the shrieking and the screaming. They are a little bit quiet now. I think it's because this particular group that is on the trees is having a lot of fun balancing of the branches and also eating. It is I can successfully and happily say that it is a false marula. I was not wrong. Now, the reason why the tree that they're in is called a false marula is because although it looks very much like a marula, it is not a marula. The leaves are a little bit pointier, and then the bark is a little bit different. So just to try and explain it, it's often said that the false marula, it's almost like a football or a soccer ball has hit the bark. So you see all those filaments are a little bit bigger, whereas the ones of the marula, it's almost like a golf ball has hit them. So they're a little bit smaller. And then the leaves in particular are the giveaway. The leaves of the false marula are a lot pointier than the ones of the actual marula, and the fruit is different. Unfortunately, there is no fruit here. It looks similar, but the fruit actually turns into a reddish color, whereas the fruit of the marula, as we know, it's green, gets dropped on the ground to ripen, and then it turns of a yellow color. I think I scared the baboons away with my talk of the tree that they were in. They all seem to have moved off, and then they're at the back there where you can see some of the trees moving around. Ah, there we go. Perfect. There's actually 2 baboons in this frame. Would I try 3? Yeah, I do not see. Oh, there's a 3rd one. Yes, I see it now. Going up and down. So this is pretty much how baboons would spend the day, and then up. That was very graceful. They will spend the day going from one foraging site to the next. So they'll be up in a tree looking for the fruits and anything that they can eat, and then whoop, decide that that is enough, go off, maybe have a grooming session just to reinforce social bonds and get rid of some parasites, hang out for a little bit in a more quiet manner before they move off onto the next tree, go off, do the same. And then at night, because it's the safest spot for them, they will go up the trees, especially big trees like jackalberries, or I think like maybe the small false marula could do. But the bigger the troop, the bigger the tree that they're perhaps going to require, because it'll be harder for anything, especially for something like a leopard, to get up a tree and be able to grab them without them noticing. Because as we know, leopards and other nocturnal creatures rely on the element of surprise to actually be able to take their prey down. So if they're all sleeping, chances are that if somebody goes up in a tree, they're gonna be able to see them. Oh, there we go. There they are in another tree. Mari, they don't get on the safari vehicles. At least not when we're in them. Baboons, there's always this line in between that we respect between animal interactions and safari vehicles, which means that we interact with them in the sense that obviously they know that we're here, and we try not to get in their way and just view them and let them do their thing. But we do not allow them to get in the cars or come and touch us or anything else like it, because then that might lead to them becoming problem animals. And they've got very big canines, potentially the biggest ones in terms of body size. So you don't really want to be bitten by a baboon or have a bad interaction with them. In the Kruger National Park, in some areas of, well, South Africa, like in, I think the most famous one were the ones in Cape Point and down in Cape Town, they became problem animals because of people thinking that they were cute, and then they start either feeding them off cars or start throwing things at them. So they learn to associate one thing with a reward. So because they are so big and strong, they often can either, well, they started, I think, breaking glasses, they started pulling bags out of people, started breaking into the cars. So they became a bit of a problem just because they were allowed to go one step further and then demand things from humans. And then, of course, if you've got a big male baboon coming at you, it's not a pretty sight. I've had it before. So you're a little bit scared, especially when they start flashing those canines. So they are a bit of a problem in some areas. Some of them also, like in the staff village where we are, they are very strong, and they have managed to bend proper like sliding doors and just get inside. And if they find any food, there's just a wreck and a mess everywhere, especially if you've got things that smell nicely like creams, or, well, if you've got any sugary stuff, then that's the end of them, because they also have a sweet tooth, much like elephants. We're going to carry on exploring this area, see what else we can find around here. If we don't find anything, I think we're going to make our way to the dam, see what's happening down there. But while I do that, there's somebody else that has joined the drive that would like to say hello.
Pollinates it. Good morning, good morning. I am so glad to be in the hot seat again. I love doing this. Favorite thing ever. And of course, we had the lovely flame lilies there. Hello, everyone. How are you? Very excited, I hope. How can I ever compete with the performance of Toli? Please don't even put us in the same bracket. But watch this space, because I might just put a performance of my own on. So while we were looking around for living mammals for you, unlike the unliving ones, excuse me. No, but I meant mammals for you. We found beautiful flame lilies. I think they're wonderful. And they get a really pretty red color that comes up. I don't see any of the red ones yet, but that's probably because these blooms are a bit young. Now they're really, really poisonous, and they have kind of bulbs or tuber type things underneath it. Can often get mistaken for potatoes by local people, and if they're eaten, no. Very, very poisonous. I often find the most beautiful things in nature are. Should I say what James Henry just said? He said, like ladies. Yes, we are dangerous. It is the month of love. That seems to be the theme today, and marulas seem to be the theme today. Ravinda asks if they smell great. Well, you know what, Ravinda? I might go smell one. Especially now, since I can walk everybody, my moon boot is off. Let me go have a smell. Please excuse my slight limp. Ravinda, they smell like nothing, to be very honest. They don't have any smell yet. Let me try another one. Nothing at all. Maybe they'll get a smell when they're a bit more red. But at the moment, they look a bit young. You can still see bits of green and then the yellow coming up. So those will turn into little bits of red. Maybe then it will get a nice, pretty smell. But at the moment, I can't smell a thing. Let me jump back in. Would you like to watch me jump back in? Like a slight invalid.
Jump is a strong term.
Jump is a strong term. But yes, very poisonous, but very, very pretty. But iconic looking, actually. Very nice when you see it in the bush, poking out with its red. Appropriately named as well. Yellow and red, very much like a flame. Someone says I could always dance again and didn't catch that name. Fern. Oh, I like ferns. Yes, I can always dance again, and if there's one thing I love to do, it's dance. Definitely. Maybe I can, once I'm totally repaired, I'll be able to do a dance for you. In fact, if I can find the tree that reminds me very much of a dancer, I will show it to you. Maybe you can guess which tree it is. Well, maybe I'll give you a bit of background first. So I'm a belly dancer. So the tree that I am thinking of resembles a belly dancer to me. But then also my head works a little oddly, so it might not to you, but to me it does. Anyway, use the hashtag SafariLive or the YouTube chat stream and let me know what tree you think it is. It's one of the, I'd say, really obvious trees on the reserve. It's got a very obvious trunk. Hint, hint. Yeah, so tell me which one you think it is. Now, I am looking for, apart from wonderful animals for you, FC says marula tree. No. Actually, if you can describe to me why you think it looks like a belly dancer, I'd like that even more. But can't hear very well. Just give me a moment. There we go, that's a bit better. Someone said fever tree. Our beer says fever tree. It is not a fever tree. I want to show you which one it is. It's all twisty and contorted like a belly dancer. Kathy says a jackalberry. Not a jackalberry. When you see it, you'll understand. But I was saying that I'm also looking for a marula so that I can compete with Jamie's performance, of course. I also got bottle tree. No. I think there might be one on this side of the reserve. Actually, do you know my favorite place here? How dare I? At least I'm lucky I can blame it on my not so good foot. My favorite place to go to, Chitwa. It is. Why sausage tree? No, it is not a sausage tree. It is not. It has green thorns. That gives you a clue. Now I saw something pretty. Please don't. Oh, it has gone. It was a pretty Birchall starling. I didn't even get the name of that tree. I don't think we get it on the reserve. I love how when I speak about the tree, it's nowhere to be found. Ah, the tree with the two thorns that go forward and backwards. No, there's two green thorns that make sort of a Y shape. Please come up soon so I can get rid of the suspense for you all. In fact, I mentioned the name without even realizing it. Of the tree. Anyway, when we pass one, I will show it to you, but keep it in mind, and when you see it, you'll hopefully know what I mean. We are now at Chitwa watering hole. One of my favorite places, abundant in hippos and bird life. Okay, so, oh, there's a little bestial starling. Yay, at least I found a bird that will sit still for me. Hello, Birchall starling. So you can see that the eye is black, is how I know it's a Birchall starling. Ooh, listen to it call. One more time. No. Very cool. I always enjoy when the bird... Let me not talk over him. I always enjoy when the bird... And you can see the bird and you can listen to the bird. Oh, and look what we have here. Two little Speaks hinged tortoise. looks like they're about to engage in some reproductive behavior. I see this often where the male will persistently follow the female and the female looks completely disinterested in the whole affair. Oh, hopefully they'll show us. Oh, it looks like they've gone into a little hole. I suppose we all need some privacy. Yeah. Dash would like to know why one is bigger than the other. Well, one may be older than the other. That's basically it. Yeah. There's no, as we said, the theme is love today. And there's no age when it comes to love. Remember that. That sounded like Oli. Anyway, moving on. Still haven't seen my tree. Ah, speaking of love. Okay. Excuse me. We'll talk a little bit more about love when we come back from Bushwalk, who has a very lovely tree branch.
Right, well, Trishala goes off in search of loving tortoises. We have resorted to basically imitating a giraffe or an elephant. It becomes very easy when you spend time out here to understand the movement of an animal's tail based on the flies around them. Conducting an experiment. You can see Rex up ahead is doing the same thing. And Seb has got one as well. Unfortunately, he can't use his because he's operating the camera, which means he just has to put up with it. The reason that we're doing this is because of the flies, which have come out en masse. Hi, Rex. I'm conducting an experiment. I'm trying to see if random movements or repeated movements are better. This is going to give me a callus eventually. Thought efficiency, and effectiveness, which probably, because I don't have to think about it. I just do figures of 8 with the Gwari bush branch, which obviously animals don't do because they don't do repeated patterns, rather squatting without purpose. Alright, we're going to carry on through a gremlin-infested area. While we do that and while we swap the flies, off you pop across to Trishala.
Whoops, sorry for that. We had a small problem with the signal, but you're back to me and it's all good. Now, I said I would talk to you a little bit more about love, and this is the leopard orchid. Now, I was reading a really interesting book, or still am reading a really interesting book, about the myths and things like that that are associated with, or traditionally associated with plants around southern Africa. And the leopard orchid was a really, really important one, because it seems to be a really potent love charm, or really, I don't know, everyone seems to think that leopard orchid, if you make a potion out of a leopard orchid, or I read that if you grind up certain parts of it and then you blow it into the wind at midnight and say your lover's name, it will come to you, or he or she will come to you, rather. Well, that's the first leopard I've seen today. Probably the first leopard you've seen today, too. Right, up onto the damn wall. Ooh, we have some birds. Ooh, these are red-breasted swallows. Oh, mosque swallows. Very cool. Let's actually... Sometimes it's nice to get a good view in the book. Let me see. It's still a bit cool, so they're kind of just chilling up there. Feathers all ruffled up, looks like they've been preening or cleaning themselves. Yep, there you go. So a mosque swallow. Well, according to my book, it says that they're not very common in this area. So when I first saw them, I thought that they were red-breasted swallows, and I didn't notice that they had a white patch underneath their beak there in that chin area. And that would indicate, of course, that they're mosque swallows. Another one to add to my bird list. And maybe another one to add to your bird list as well. How many do we see there? Oh, just a pair for the moment. Cool. Glad. Thank you, Lisa. Lisa says those are beautiful birds. They are beautiful birds. I'm starting to really enjoy birds. Well, I say starting, but I'm not really starting. I've always liked birds. But then when you come here and you see how many birds there are, and then it's so hard to distinguish between different things. I mean, something little like the white spot underneath the chin, that kind of thing. Actually, it gets quite complicated. So I'm enjoying it now because I imagine it a bit like a treasure hunt. I also like to collect rocks, and the same thing is happening with rocks at the moment. Another one for the list. Oh, look at this. Snorky sits first on her bird list. I'm glad to have added to it. Oh, how cute is that? Hey, little waterbuck. This is very cute. I've never seen them this age. You mean you often see the adults? But these ones are just too cute. Yay, we found mammals. Now, they're all hanging out on the dam wall, and some seem to be feeding a bit on the side there. But when I pulled up, they all just stopped and stared at me. Of course. Ooh, speaking of birds, let's go to Ali, who's got a kingfisher.
It's just like when you can be slick about it, you know, it's nice to have it.
Oh, but it's good. Nobody's ever told me this before, so. Beautiful little woodland kingfisher perching. Finally, some life in the African bush. Very happy to have spotted it, and it's very quiet. Very happy to be sitting down there. Hello. Now, we've been talking about migratory species. Oh, no, you stay there. Don't go anywhere. We've been talking about migratory species of birds or animals that come down to Djuma only for the summertime, and this beautiful little guy is one of them. That bright blue coloration and the red beak, that is the, what do you call it? The features that we look for and to be able to identify them. I clearly cannot speak. And they, ironically, as we've said before, they do not feed on fish, and this is why they migrate. They actually eat more insects, so they come following the insects down here. But I find there haven't been any this year. They're always around, and there's a typical call that they make. Oh, maybe up, and then they fly away. Yep, it's gone. So I just want to show you guys quickly on the book, where are the kingfishers? Where's the letter K? Kingfishers. 5, 6. Sorry, I will get there. As soon as my book decides to cooperate with me, off we go. So the woodland kingfisher is the one up here. This is the one. So you see it's got the black at the bottom of the beak and then the red on top. And it's a lot easier to distinguish where it's in the summertime because, like I said, it makes that call and it does not stop calling. I think it's actually one of the birds that wakes up the earliest because we start hearing them just as early as 4 o'clock in the morning. Now, it looks... This one over here is a mangrove kingfisher. This is the only kingfisher that I have not managed to see in Southern Africa. It keeps eluding me. It is occur in areas of the coast of South Africa, more towards KZN, which is another province, and in Mozambique and so on. But for some reason, I am never able to see this one. So you see, it's very similar to the woodland, but it just doesn't really occur in this area. It's got a grey head, and then the beak is red on the top and at the bottom. So this is this one and the Pearl's fishing owl, my two birds, my two beautiful birds that I do not seem to be able to find anywhere. We did go all the way down to Chitto Dam. Unfortunately, it seems like James and Tolly and Trishala beat us to it. So we had to quickly retreat because we're not allowed to be two of us in there at the same time. But no biggie, we're going to go and explore another area of Juneau, which should be interesting, hopefully interesting, with other things to happen. Now, in terms of the radio talk, I don't know if you've known this already, but it seems like there are 2 male lions on Buffelshoek, which is unfortunate for us, of course, because we cannot go in there. But it is a promise of that perhaps maybe later on in the day they'll carry coming this way, or maybe even tomorrow morning. I haven't been able to hear an ID, but considering it's just 2, I'm inclined to think that perhaps the Avoca males are the ones that are up. And there's been talk of a leopard in the west, a male leopard around. Considering the area, I would assume it's perhaps Hukumuri. Who knows? But we're going to carry on looking for big, some scary ones as well, and the little ones. But let's send you guys across to Jamie, who's managed to find a small little thing.
I think I can actually hear Ali somewhere not far down the road from where we are. We have stopped at a Waltheria plant because it is the final refuge of the truly desperate. But what we found actually quite surprised me, in the sense that there's not just 1 but 3 of these large ticks, and I wouldn't be surprised if there's actually more of them. There's also some honeybees, and these ticks sitting, not one's on the Waltheria, the other one is on some saw-toothed love grass. And what these ticks are waiting for is for something to walk along and brush up against them. Fortunately, it was not Seb or myself. As far as I know, who knows, there might have been 4 originally. Now there's one missing that's gone off in search of a nice meal in the form of our blood. Obviously, there's plenty of ticks about. I'm going to try to keep it still. Sorry, Seb, I'm just making it easier to see the actual tick itself. And it's in the final stage of its life cycle. So it's a fully grown tick now. And what it will do shortly is attach itself to a rather large host, most likely. And by large, what I mean by that is really something the size of an impala nyala, not, say, a dwarf mongoose. It'll attach itself to a large host, embed its head in the flesh of its host, and gorge itself on the host's blood. And once it's ready, it will actually drop off, and the females will lay their eggs, usually around the base of a plant, sort of in the soil. And then the whole cycle will start again with the tiny, tiny little ticks known as pepper ticks, which are the baby ticks, and are almost invisible. They're just visible as tiny little freckle-type spots. And then the process starts, and it'll molt once again. I'm just surprised at how many of the same tick are on the same tree, or at least in the same area, rather. I don't quite know why that would be. Obviously, they all dropped off at the same time, off their last host. Well, perhaps they grew up here. I'm not sure. I suspect that they would have had a host. Now, Dash wants to know how the pepper tick, the baby ticks, got their name, the pepper tick. This is not a pepper tick, by the way. This is a fully grown tick. A pepper tick is just the nickname given to any tick, not quite larvae. Tick larvae. So the baby ticks. And the reason they're called pepper ticks is because they look like little grains of pepper. Red pepper, admittedly, but little tiny grains of ground pepper. They're really small. They are... I have once in my life, I have spent about 10 minutes trying to scratch a pepper tick off my skin, only to realize that I was in fact scratching a freckle. Trying to remove a freckle. Especially in the dark. You know, we wake up in the dark and we go to bed, or we finish work in the dark. So sometimes you make mistakes. And that's happened to me before, and they find their way between your toes and all sorts of odd places. There's actually quite a lot to look at. The bees are around, making use of the flowers while they're out and about. It's actually the first real insect life that we've seen. There's a very pretty butterfly. Is that an acria? Oh, it's beautiful. That is absolutely stunning. Finally, the insects have started to come out. I feel as though they've been taking it easy this morning. Oh, no. Maybe it'll settle again. Perfect example of warning coloration, something to say that it is poisonous. And then, of course, in addition, the underside of this silver cluster leaf is currently being, or all of the silver cluster leaf leaves, are being attacked by a group of ants, sugar ants, tapping down into the sap of the tree. So they're nibbling their way through the barrier of the leaf into the central vein mostly, and feeding off the sap through. Something interesting's happening?
Yeah.
What have you found?
So I don't know where on the tree it is, but look, they're attacking. See on my frame here.
They're attacking something.
They're attacking something.
Is it? What is that? That's fascinating. Well done, Seb. It's here. I can't see what it is, though. I think it might be one of those... Is it a tiny bird-dropping moth? I don't want to disturb the whole process. It's got legs, whatever it is, but it's tiny. And they're touching it, but they haven't actually... I think they're going to ignore it. I think they're going to... Oh, I don't know. Hold on. There's somebody coming past. Am I looking in the right place? Wait, let me come back and look over your shoulder.
Yeah.
There's so many ants here, it's difficult for me to know which ones. Yes, I'm in the right place.
Yeah, there's like 4 of them.
Now they've gathered together around whatever that is.
4 ants around that thing.
What is it? I'm just going to lean in Seb's shot. I can see its legs. It looks like a tiny, tiny bird-dropping moth. Yeah. Sandy, I agree. Sandy says it looks like a moth. It does. It looks like one of those bird-dropping moths.
They're not too happy with it.
No. But they haven't... James Richards is talking about the butterfly that we were looking at earlier. James Richards said that the butterfly that we saw earlier looks like a spotted joker. Thank you, James. Oh, hold on, it's moving. It's a moth. It's a tiny, tiny little moth. And that's actually, but that's facing Seb, that's got the ant in front of it. That's actually the head.
Yeah. We can see it.
Now you can see it. Awesome. Well done, Seb. It's trying to get away. Now leave it alone. It's completely innocuous. Done absolutely nothing to you. Shame. Come on. I don't think it's fully... I don't know if it's fully developed because it hasn't flown away. You'd think that under attack it would take to the skies. Oh, there comes a big ant. Come on, little moth. Make a break for freedom. You don't have to take this. Definitely alive because it's moving. No. I don't know why I'm on the side of the moth here. Fern wants to know if the ants will eat it. Yes, I suspect they would. I don't think that they have to be restricted, the species of ant, to the sap of something. So I suspect that, yes, they probably would eat it. But they haven't really gone about it properly yet. I thought perhaps I was a bit worried that by sitting where I am or standing where I am, that perhaps my carbon dioxide might be disturbing the process. Because, of course, most insects respond to the presence of breath, essentially. You know, if you breathe on them, they immediately react because it could be an aardvark, it could be a pangolin, it could be anything, any potential threat. Maybe a bird of some description, but panicum grass is going up my nose. I don't know, Sean, I really don't know why it hasn't flown away. I really haven't got a clue. The only thing I know is that Seb is going to have picked up all 3 ticks by the time he's finished filming this.
Please remind me to.
I will remind you to check afterwards. I don't know why it isn't flying away. It does look very tiny though, and the wings almost look underdeveloped. Or like they haven't opened properly. Maybe it's just emerged from its cocoon somewhere. And this is its first start to a new life. Welcome. Welcome to the world. You have wings. Use them. I mean, it's definitely a moth. I don't know what else made its way in there. Okay, while we watch something that could potentially fly, if it could figure it out, let's go across to something that definitely can with Trishala.
Look what we have. Doesn't that make your heart warm? It's a little lapwing. Doesn't it make you think of scuba? It does make me think of scuba. Let's not all cry now. Oh, poor thing. Look at it go. Very cute. This little chick is born what we call precocial, which, like I'm sure you know the song Betty Davis Eyes, she's precocious. It's ahead of its time. It is. It is behaving in a way that is ahead of its time. It's well developed as soon as it comes out of the egg. And you can see that, I mean, it's so tiny. But it is eating on its own, and it's not too reliant on mum. Where'd you go? It tucked up. She tucked under mum. Just searching for another one that was... Where are you? Ah, there you are. Oh, you're so cute. Look how big their feet are. Painted Wolf says, Scoob nap time. It's Scoob nap time. It's also probably Scoob warm me up time, because it is starting to get a bit cooler, and it was drizzling a little bit, and I bet under mum's wing is a lot warmer. Go to the water's edge. I want to see you. So there it is feeding on little invertebrates it may find in the water. And you might see it do, or maybe because it's a bit young and it hasn't really learned from parents yet, but they tend to put one foot in and shake it about, any of the invertebrates that are in the water. In the same way as you would, if you have dirty water and you put your hand in and you shake it up, all those particles get, or the sediment doesn't sit anymore, and it all lifts up into the water. And you can pick stuff up out of it. All by yourself. Mum is so far away. You're brave. Ravinda says Scoobert was born again. Yes, it is the circle of life. He has returned to us in the form of this little critter. Look how wonderfully fluffy it is. So at this point, he or she probably mostly have down feathers. Those are the ones that you're seeing at the bottom, the really fluffy ones, because those keep him nice and warm. Really good insulators. Go back to mum. Go. Huddle up with your brother or sister. There you go. Oh, that was so cute. Very, very cute. Well, we'll leave you to sleep there and see what else we can find around the dam then. Ah. There we have the African fish eagle. I know it may be typical of a South African, but I do love the African fish eagle. The call is just unmistakable. So the female, well, obviously we know already that there's a mating pair here. We know that there's a juvenile here. We saw it yesterday with Koli. And I suspect, we're actually now at both of them turning towards us. So the female has a wider white breast patch. And now it looks like the one on the far end has a wider breast patch. But the female is also about a kg bigger. Is also about a kg bigger than the male. So hard to tell, but those are the things that we're looking for. Jonathan calls it the king of the eagles. I'm inclined to agree with you because I think that they're utterly beautiful. And the call that they make, also pretty crazy. Ah, and we have a saddle-billed stork. I hope you're all filling up your bird lists while we're here because we're getting a lot of animals. So this saddle-billed stork, if we can, I don't think we can get much closer, but I always remember it as females like to match things, you know, like your purse and your shoes. And the female saddle-billed stork has yellow around the eye that matches the little yellow saddle, whereas the male doesn't. So I would think that that was a male. What other birds do we have? And we have some barn swallows. We saw the mosque swallows earlier, so add the barn swallow to your list. Also, sometimes referred to as the European swallow. And they are also busy preening at this time of the morning. What preening is the cleaning of the feathers. And what they will do is they'll secrete like a bit of an oily type of substance, and then from preening glands, and then they'll rub it over their feathers, cleaning them out. And if you've ever seen a feather, and you move it one way and it's all okay, and then you move it the other and you seem to disturb the little veins, or you kind of zip them up in a way. So what the birds will do is they'll unzip those areas and then clean it out and then zip them back up. I know it's hard to imagine, but if I find a feather, I'll show you exactly what I mean. And then the oil, of course, they use to kind of waterproof their feathers. Who else do we have around? Oh, we have our little... Those are little goslings. Can't see probably. Jody would like to know if a saddle-billed stork would eat a baby lapwing. It is possible. It definitely is possible. Hopefully our little lapwing won't have to worry about that because Mum will protect it. Is that an African darter sitting there? Now this is quite interesting because I spoke to you about preening and preening glands and having to waterproof those glands with the oily bits. Now African darter doesn't do that. It doesn't have an oily secretion that it can put over its feathers to waterproof it, and that's because it hunts in a specific way, and that is dives down, and if it had oil all over it, it would make it very buoyant. So instead, it gets really wet, and then sometimes you see it sunning, where it puts both its wings out and faces the sun and looks a bit like it's doing yoga. But at the moment, it's just perched And it's almost as if the cool weather is just keeping them all down today. And we have village weavers. Village weavers always build their nests over the water. And we have, I remember seeing them before, a little nest of the Egyptian geese that are nestled in there as well. And there's a red-billed buffalo weaver grabbing a stick from there. Are you stealing?
And a goose.
And the Egyptian geese on the inside there, nestled in. Wow, that must be a really good complex, a nice estate. Everywhere, you see there's a top security of the water around them. Seems to be prime real estate right there. You see the weavers all working on their nests. So when they hang upside down like that and they flap their wings, they're advertising to the females around and letting them know that I can hang on and dangle on and flap my wings and nothing happens to my nest. So it must be the best constructed nest. I've seen it do it so many times, be visited by numerous females and none stick around. Oh, of course, occasionally one does. I wonder what she thinks of all the living partners they have there, though. I don't know if I want to stay next to the Egyptian geese. These nests are constructed so well, and they start with a little ring, and then the little ring gets a roof and chamber, and an antechamber, and then an entrance, and then a tunnel. Quite a process. And they have different types of weaves, which I thought were really, really interesting. They have a weave that is what you call like a wraparound and a hook, and then they have a weave that's an interlocking weave, and then they also have a thing called a half hitch, which goes round once and out the other side. All these interesting ways to weave and to make sure that they have a nice stable home. They also can tie knots with their beaks and their feet, which I think is really, really clever. Some sleeping crocodiles. It does seem like a sleepy day. And a green shank. I think it's a green shank. Definitely looks like one. Do you know that you're venturing close to the crocodiles, or are you just assuming that they're asleep? There it goes. So everyone's having a bit of a meal and a bit of a clean. Seems to be a nice day at Chitwa. Everyone needs a good clean and a good meal. So while we stick around, I'm sure there's so much more to find at Chitwa. Let's go to Jamie, who also has something small and cute for you.
Gracious me. This little bee-eater has grown up in front of our eyes, laid a few eggs, made a nest, and then sat back down on the branch. Oh, wouldn't you know it? It flew away. Funny. Seb at this point he looks a little bit like Atlas after supporting the weight of the world on his shoulders. He now has biceps out here from holding the camera steady, and then the little bee-eater flew away. It's just one of those things where he decided to be contrary. It's called Cole's Law. And I'm very determined that it is an actual thing. I'm glad to hear you saw the little bee-eater. It was in fact a little bee-eater. They're definitely one of the prettiest birds out here. I've heard them called the springbuck bird before, not because they look anything like a springbuck itself, but because they are in the colours of our springbuck rugby team, green and gold. So they are... What is Rex? Oh, he's just looking. So they're very pretty little birds, and one that's close to many people's hearts. Tiny. I mean, when you're talking about a little bee-eater, to give you a sense of perspective, it's probably about From the top, from its foot to its head, it's probably about that big. With its tail, it's probably about that big. Tiny, tiny little thing. Compared to the other bee-eaters, which are twice the size. Haven't seen any carmine bee-eaters this year. It was close. I'm still juggling. Should get some gori bushes and juggle them. Might be a way of keeping flies away. This is how you know that we're not doing something for just a proper effect when we're on bushwalk. If we're still clutching it, by the end of the bushwalk, it means that we actually have a really proper use for it. Otherwise, we would have dumped it long ago, once we'd finished a segment on it. I remember now, you didn't even get to hear about it, because we apparently were being attacked by gremlins at the time. It's just for the flies. It's a fly swat, like a giraffe's tail. Helps to keep them from landing on our ears. Wonderful news. On this rather muggy morning, it seems as though Ali has made her way to some elephants that are cooling down.
Well, at least we found a living creature, 2 of them actually. So thank you to everyone who was keeping an eye out on the dam camera. Just that alerted us that these 2 bulls were here. It's been a rather quiet morning, and I wonder if the animals know something about the weather that we don't. So these are 2 young bull elephants that it was a little bit tricky, or because they were actually, when we first arrived, sorry, the game drive radio has been bothering in my ear. When we first arrived, they were having a bit of a tussle, pushing each other up and down. So we actually went down on the one side of the dam, and then as soon as we came around a corner, then we bumped into them, and then they gave me the biggest fright. So as it started getting on, then we decided to come back up onto the dam wall, because it seems to be the best spot to view them. I think their little altercation is finished, as they seem to be going into 2 completely different and separate directions. The one view we were looking at was going a bit to the left, and then the other one's going to the right, straight towards the lodge. So there's Juma Buyatela just behind it. Are you going to go check in? It'd be quite nice if you did. I wouldn't be surprised if they did. But they are a little bit hot, and the reason why I suggest that they perhaps are a little bit hot is because they've been in the water, and you can see they've been cooling themselves down. They have been drinking. And splashing all over the show. That's why you get different colorations of the elephant. It's put some mud on its back and, well, its trunk and everything else. And now maybe we're going to get it dust bathing a little bit. You see what it's doing with its foot there? Probably just trying to loosen the ground a little bit just to be able to pick up some of the dust with its trunk. And then it's going to start spraying it. And again, I'm sure using its trunk to just get the smell of this other bull that's behind. You know, got to watch your back at all times. Got to make sure that you know what's happening, even if you're just standing there pretending that nothing's really bothering you. Oh, but you know, he went away, so now you're going back into the water. Awesome. Elephants in water has got to be one of the happiest things that we can watch out here. It's just great. They seem so happy. Every time they come around water, it's almost, you know, like kids in a pool. Although I don't think this pool is too full for you to go and actually swim, little elephant. But at least you've got some water in there that you can play around with. You can actually hear him slurping. That's no way of drinking. You're splashing more than you're actually drinking. Oh my goodness. Sweet history, I agree. Teen elephants and baby elephants are hilarious. They're always up to something, and they have, almost like Lalamba yesterday, they have like that young vibe to them, in the sense that they're still very playful. They still want to do things and push the boundaries. Whereas some other ones, you know, as they get older, they become much more serious elephants, and, you know, they feed, they have babies, they look around for things, unless, you know, of course, they get into must, and then all bets are off and they become a little bit angry. But these guys, no aggression, at least not towards us. They're pretty much been doing their own thing. As I said earlier, they were having a bit of a tussle, and now this young guy here is, I mean, I have no other way of describing it other than he's actually playing with the water and splashing it. So he's drinking, but at the same time, he's having a bit of fun. Much like some other teens that I know. But, you know, they drink other substances, unfortunately. I'm sorry, elephant. I didn't mean to catch you out. They're not too far from quarantine, and I wonder if these are the... And I wonder if this is why they've been hanging around here. Lots of marulas on quarantine, lots of sweet things to be drinking. So maybe that's why. Oh, look at the trunk go up and down. Now, you guys were wondering as to why is it difficult for a baby elephant to learn how to use its trunk. Well, you see, it takes them about a year, perhaps even longer, to learn actually how to control it. It's like kids when they're starting to learn how to use their hands and, you know, have dexterity with their fingers and then be able to grab things and put them in their boxes or, you know, square inside the square. It's the same for baby elephants. It's a lot of muscles and a lot of nerves in there that they've got to learn how to use properly. So when they're tiny, when they're very, very small, perhaps under a year old or so, you'll see that even when they come down for a drink, what seemed very simple for this elephant of getting the water up its trunk and then putting it in its mouth, it's actually a very complicated task for a baby elephant. So often when they're little and if they cannot do it, you'll see that either water is splashing everywhere and not going into their mouth, or they eventually just give up and then kneel almost like a dog or a lion, and then they kneel into the water to take the water directly with their mouths from the either from the river or the water hole, wherever it is that they are. Oh, we've got two beautiful woodland kingfishers that are enjoying the view of the elephant as well. Ah, displaying! Yeah! Little Batmans! Ah, that's beautiful. Look at them. They were just displaying, and it's a lot of the times they do it either to reinforce social bonds in the way they start calling, and then of course in some other cases it's just for territorial. Now, no particular worry in this water hole for crocodiles. We haven't seen, I don't think I've ever seen a crocodile in Gowrie Dam. Have you, Dawie? No. No crocodiles around here. But there are reports of crocodiles sometimes in some areas, particularly in rivers where there are massive crocodiles, of trying to go for little elephants or sometimes for the trunk of elephants. Now, it's not a common occurrence, but it does happen every now and again. Actually, one of the guys that we used to work with at Lion Sands, which is in the southern side of the Sabi Sand, had a sighting once of a young bull elephant, I would say much like the size of these guys that are here, that pretty much fished a crocodile with its trunk. I don't know how else to say it. So the elephant got bitten in the trunk by the crocodile, and then you can see the photo that one of the guests managed to take is of the elephant actually trying to lift its trunk and the crocodile still attached to it. It was quite an interesting shot, and nothing I've never seen anything quite like it, but we know it does happen. Now, our elephants have gone completely separate ways. Oh, you are dust bathing, but you're so far. So I'm gonna carry on down the road. One of them is just in front of us, so we're gonna try and see if maybe we can have a bit of a look at that one, because we're not gonna be able to get onto the other side of that one in time. But let's see. Oh, very nice to spend some time with elephants that are not trying to bully me off a marula tree. Every evening now, because there are so many marula trees on quarantine and we have to go from where we live back to the Jima research camp for all our meals and meetings and so on, there's one particular marula tree in one sharp corner that we just absolutely have to take. There's no way of going around it. And the elephants, I don't know why, but it seems like that is the best marula in the entire quarantine. And they get so protective of it. And we've had a few incidents where, you know, we just stand there for hours because they're just not moving. They don't care. Ah, you're also dust bathing. Well done. Right, so I'm going to park a little bit of a distance, because if I go down then go all the way up to have a better view, then I think we're going to be too close and we're going to push him off his current activity. So you see they've got down in the water, they've cooled down a little bit, and now they are using the soft soil, the sand and the dust, to put it on their backs, mainly for two reasons. Sometimes it's to protect themselves from the sun, which I don't think it's going to be much of an issue today, but also a lot of the times it's just to apply that almost protective layer to their body to try and get rid of parasites, try to trap them, particularly the mud and the mud for the ticks when they dust bathe. Now, the elephant's missing. It's high. I can just see the movement, so we're gonna creep in a little bit closer to have a better look at this guy. We're gonna be there in about half a second, maybe 5. Okay, we're gonna try to creep up on our elephant, but while we do that, let's go over to the bushwalk team, who's got a tiny little thing.
Cool. I'm very glad that Ali got to see those elephants. We are sitting staring at caterpillar frass. Now, when you look at typical caterpillar frass, it is tiny, minute, little grain of pepper, one might say. But this is not. This is not tiny. Not in the slightest. This is some of the biggest caterpillar frass that I have ever seen, which caused Rexon to stop immediately and eventually to find the enormous but astoundingly beautiful producer of said frass. It is utterly gorgeous. Just look at this caterpillar. It is magnificent. I have absolutely no idea which moth it turns into. I assume it's a moth and not a butterfly. Pretty certain that that's the case. But it is beautiful. It's got these gorgeous white speckles, bluish white speckles. It looks like a sweet. It looks like a gummy sweet. It's sort of a novelty gummy sweet that is on sale with sort of, creep your friends out by eating a caterpillar. That's what it looks like. It doesn't look real. It looks like it's been produced with some sort of flavorant and colorant and a bit of squishiness on the side. But speaking of frightening your friends by eating caterpillars, Rex has just told me that this could be considered to be a delicacy. So it is something that would be eaten. Murray, who is directing today, says that it looks like something from Willy Wonka's chocolate factory. It does, doesn't it? It is utterly beguiling. And those protrusions, I assume, to look as though, or to fool the various parasitic wasps into thinking that it's already been parasitized. So making it a less attractive prospect, because of course parasitized caterpillars bulge outwards as the wasp larvae grows inside them. So I suspect that that's why it's got those protrusions. And I can see its legs from where I'm standing. I can see its legs tucked up at the top over there. And then it's got these sucker feet that are not quite, I assume not quite legs, because over here to help to grip on. And then one by its tail. It doesn't look real. It really doesn't. The other time that I found something that looks this almost CGI'd was that baboon spider that Herbie found once. Arbeard said that he wouldn't eat that. Fair enough. I mean, Rex says it's a delicacy. It would obviously be either dried and salted or cooked or fried up in a way that would make it vaguely edible. I've eaten mapani worms before. They're incredibly spiny and quite frankly just taste, especially when they're dried, they kind of taste like salty sawdust. They don't really taste like very much at all. I wouldn't call them a delicacy, but people definitely rely on them in terms of protein. And remember that insects are a very, very valuable source of protein, particularly in areas where cows were not necessarily a thing. Cows definitely could struggle in certain areas. So caterpillars and insects and locusts and so on, if people are going to eat cows and sheep and pigs, then there's no reason at all that they shouldn't go about collecting caterpillars. Fortunately, though, this caterpillar is 100% safe, so it is illegal to do that here. We could not pluck this caterpillar and eat it off this tree. I don't know if it's illegal. It's against the rules. Certainly. Carol says that mapani worms taste like anchovies. I assume that's what she was saying. Maybe Carol's eaten mapani worms before. Do they taste like anchovies? I guess so. I guess I could see that. It's an interesting one. Beautiful. You are so beautiful. You are so beautiful. I'm sorry. I had to touch it. Just looks so amazing. Alright, we're going to move on and search for other amazing things like this. Off you go across to Trishala with a large, shaggy, smelly animal.
Yes, look what we found. I think this is just such a beautiful scene. This waterbuck is very calm, collected, and moving about in the grass here and around the little pond that's on the side. Very nice scene. Can you see that she's listening out? The ears are moving backwards and forwards. just listening to what's happening around. Wow, those are impressive horns. And you see the ridges along it. I do recall that Brent Leo Smith gave me his successor in the quiz department. He told me that it's my job to quiz you. So why do these animals have ridges on their horns? You've been watching Safari Live for a long time. I'm sure you will know. Use the hashtag and the YouTube chat stream and let me know why you think these animals have ridges on their horns. And many other antelope as well. What a lovely scene. There's a slight breeze. It is cool, but it's not cold. Not very cold. It's just a very pleasant atmosphere. And I think this waterbuck is enjoying it too. Can you see that one ear pointing forward, one ear pointing back? Oh, look. Holly actually spotted this. The different weavers' nests that are all around here. Well done, Lauren. You said it's to help with grip or to make sure that it doesn't slip when they're fighting, and that is 100% correct. That is what it is for. I can only imagine what's being stabbed, what one of those would feel like. And if it was slippery and it didn't have the ridges, then... Harold is asking which tree looks like the belly dancer tree? Carol, not Harold. Harold is the man who delivers our food at camp. Very important man, so he's on my brain. But James is actually... has got the tree in the background there. You see the hornbill, the yellow-billed hornbill? So the tree that reminds me of a belly dancer, and thus myself, is the tree behind it, and that is a torchwood, or a Balanites mogami. My favorite tree, favorite type of tree on this reserve. And I think it looks like a belly dancer because it's all fluted and the trunk seems to just wind into each other. It reminds me of a belly dancer. Hornbill also having a bit of a clean. See, it's cleaning day for all the birds today. There you go, waterbuck. Have something to eat or something to drink. Now, this waterbuck was paying a lot of attention to something that it was hearing, and it is hanging out around the water. So I wonder if it feels a little threatened. It did huff a bit, but I haven't. Actually, let's have a listen ourselves. Okay, I can't hear too many alarm calls or anything like that. I can hear a few birds, but I don't think anything that the waterbuck should be too afraid of. But then again, its senses are far beyond my own, so it may be picking up on something that I'm not at all. So all the viewers would love a dancing Trishala demonstration. Well, you know what? I have, and I will do this for you properly, I promise. I just need my foot to be a little better, so I give you a top-class performance. I don't do mediocre. No ways. Maybe bring a prop or two. I could definitely do that. We can see that it's a male. I can see a penis sheath, which is generally a dead giveaway. obviously the horns. So I'm preparing to dance. Not right now, not with this foot right now, but definitely in the future. But in the meantime, please go to Ali, who has a beautiful elephant for you.
So we have been steadily following this beautiful young bull as he's been feeding around, but at one point I had the hope that he was actually going to become a little bit sleepy and then just decide to stop moving. But I think hunger is actually the driving force. But if we have a close look at his eyes, we can see that it's almost like they're starting to close. There we go, going pretty much. Oh, are you going to push it down? What is happening? So a typical elephant, I think he was going in to find a more suitable brunch, something that was perhaps a little bit yummier, but because it didn't find it, then it got a little bit frustrated and tried to push the tree down. Now, because that Terminalia is still a young tree, it's very flexible and doesn't have that hardened wood in the towards its center, so that's why it managed to spring back the way that it did. Had it been a bigger Terminalia, I think perhaps it wouldn't have suffered the same luck. Alrighty, elephants, are you gonna head to the marula? Alright, it's a bit unfortunate that there's a termite mound here, but I want to see where he goes before we reposition ourselves and see where we park, because maybe he's gonna scratch his ear like a little child. And this marula holds absolutely no interest to him. Okay, then I'm gonna move the other way around and then just go in between those trees, see if we can keep up with him, because he seems to be missioning now. I wonder what he's up to or where he's going. There are a few marulas around here, so I am hoping that he's gonna go to one of them and shake the tree and all the marulas are gonna pop down like little candies. Oh, okay, there we go. This is perhaps the best view, just straight on from where we are. And we're having a good old bum rub. Alrighty, elephant, this is the way to do it. Is that what you were looking for? A good, robust tree to be able to scratch your bum on. Oh, that is hilarious. So what he's doing now, as he's been in the mud and he's been spraying the mud, particularly towards its backside, you see all the mud in there. Now, they often come to the trees and they start scratching themselves thoroughly against the tree to try and get rid of some of the ticks, perhaps, that have managed to latch onto them. So this is why we find, often when we go on walk, a lot of mud at a certain height on the trees, because it's exactly where the elephants rub themselves. Perhaps it just had a bit of an itch, and that is the best way to pretty much cure that itch. A lot of the animals do it. Don't just the elephants do it. Rhinos to do it as well. After they go mud wallowing, they pretty much play with the same thing. And then zebras tend to do it as well. Funny enough, I don't think I've ever seen an impala scratch itself or with the bush, but I have seen the males horning bushes and so on for other reasons. So trees have a very important function other than just being there to give them fruit, especially the marulas, because I'm pretty sure that's what the elephant thinks marulas are at this time of the year, like a candy making machine. Are you going? Okay, we're going to follow this elephant a little bit more again, just to see where he goes. Ironically, we're not too far from where we live, so this would be a very nice morning. Okay, we're going to go bundu bashing and see where he goes, following this beautiful big bull. But let's head over to Trishala, who I believe has got also something big, but with feathers.
I have found one of our common residents, someone that we know really well, the Wahlberg's eagle. Again, everyone is perched today. The only birds I've seen in flight have been the swallows so far. See, the feathers are a little bit ruffled. Maybe it's feeling a bit cool. Trying to trap some air underneath them for extra insulation. Looking around for a meal. I suppose like we all are. Breakfast time is soon. Definitely soon, as James goes behind me, like he's in a rap video. That is our Wahlberg's eagle, scouting out. So around this area, we know that there is a couple, and we know that they have a nest nearby. And this is the normal color morph, and the other one is called a pale morph. And the pale morph is really, really obvious. It's quite different looking to this because it's pale and it's much whiter, especially in the chest area. We call them the mixed race couple. Or at least I do. At least I do. Kind of just looking around. It's always interesting to think, what are they doing? And why? The eyesight in these birds, and in most raptors actually, is excellent. And they can have the ability to spot these carcasses and other things around. Anything that looks like it might be a quick meal. For them, not so much carcasses, but in reference to the eyesight, I was thinking about vultures. Will have great eyesight, probably the best amongst the birds. Cool when they're perched like this, but this guy is quite silent. He's sitting atop a leadwood, which is one of the oldest trees you can get in Djuma or in South Africa, because they last for very, very long. A leadwood this size, maybe 100, oh no, not 100, but it's probably close to 100 years old, because even after they die, they can stand for a further 100 years. And one that is the height of me, which is about 1.5 meters, 1.58 meters, can be about 15 to 20 years old. So that gives you an idea. And this is a tall tree. Anyway. Oh, there you can get a nice view of the tree. Quite tall. So, I would say very old. Yeah. Let us head off again. You can see that it's still quite dull. The sun hasn't creeped up to say hello yet. Ramona would like to know if the Wahlbergs have had any chicks this year. Well, definitely not this year, but since I've been here, they have not had chicks. At least not ones that they've reared successfully. Whether ones have died in their nest, not sure. Of course, still always looking for the elusive leopards. Always look down for some tracks. Kathy asked if training in the bush is the best classroom. It absolutely is. No matter how much you can put your head in the books, or you try your hardest to search for answers and that, even online. Although, I mean, that's very, very useful and I do it all the time. But the difference between seeing and reading is vast. I'll often read something and then I'll ask Jamie or Tristan or James and be like, is it true that this happened? And they'll say, nope, but I read it in animal behavior books. But sometimes you just gotta go with what you observe. And it's so much easier to talk about what you observe because you know it to be true. You've seen it with your own eyes. So that's why I do think that Training in the bush is the best classroom. It definitely is. Anyway, let's go to Abby, who has a beautiful bird for you as well.
That was here, but unfortunately it seems like it's come down of the termite mound now, so I want to try and see maybe we can find it, because there's such beautiful little birds, and they are nope, it flew away. Done. Now let me show you in the book what it looks like. There's a very pretty species of bird, and it looks very much like a crested francolin or any of the other francolins that we get around this area for that matter. But it's got a beautiful orange head, and it's a little bit different. It's actually a specialty of this area, and I'm using the term specialty quite loosely because we don't really see them in other parts as much. So when we started coming to Juma, it was actually one of those good surprises. Where are you, Redwin? Did I open it in the wrong page? Maybe I did, sorry. I got the wrong francolins. There we go. The cocky francolin, this one over here. This is the one that was calling now, and they often go into termite mounds like all of the other creatures because they're tiny, so it's a better way, it's a better stand to just advertise, this is my spot, because they're quite heavily territorial birds. So we've got it here. It's a beautiful red-orange head, and that's pretty much one of the distinguishing features. And then if you see all the feathers and the streaked feathers and the chest, it's easy to tell. We often hear them calling around here, and we've been lucky in Juma to actually just record them a few times doing their call. If I can, let me just find the call again in my trusted Sassel app so that we'll be able to hear what it sounds like. All right, let me find the birds. Okay. Cocky francolin, there we go. It's a very distinct call that we often hear in Juma. Oh, you're not gonna call it an app. So it's dee, almost type of call. Very. There's another bird. Ah, there we go. What is that? Ah, can you hear the noise? Crested barbet, that beautiful little rock star. It's call. You can see how it's call. I find it a very round type of call. Also, like birds are waking up a little bit because this is what they start doing early in the morning. So the dawn chorus this morning, I pretty much feel like there was none, unfortunately. So let's have a look at barbets. Have a bit of a better look because they've got very beautiful coloration as well, but unfortunately because the weather is what it is today, then a lot of the colors are not being reflected as nicely and they appear a little bit duller than what they actually are. I normally enjoy this type of birds because they look like mean little rock stars to me. That's why I call it that way. But they are very pretty. They are closely related to the black color barbets that we were talking about this morning. So this is the black color barbet, and then you see this is the one that we're looking at, the crested barbet over here. So they have a beautiful bright head, and then obviously bright yellow chest, black and white wings, and then a little bit of red on the top. They are often around. They're one of the common species of birds that we see in this particular area, and always very nice to have them flying around. I haven't had one that's been standing still for as long. I think we've got obviously the added advantage that we have a powerful zoom that can creep in, so we don't get in their faces, and that's probably why this one's just standing all the way there. Oh, did you have to attack the tree? Going through a bit of a grooming session. We know that it's been a late morning for everyone, or a late start to the morning for everyone. This is normally what the birds start doing a little bit earlier in the morning. We're starting now to finally hear a lot more animals, and hopefully this afternoon, as the sun shines, I'm gonna put it out there as a wish for the universe, more animals will be a little bit more active. So just remember, we are also on this afternoon. Hopefully we'll be getting able to sorry, I'm just hearing some on the radio. I apologize for that. We are going to try and stay with this little guy, at least to have a one last look at something that's been moving around this morning. It's been a bit on the quiet side, but I think that's due to the weather. Hopefully we'll have a more entertaining afternoon today. It's been pretty lovely out there, even though every day is a good day to be out in the bush, and there are always little things that are out and about. So I think from myself and Davi, and I'm pretty sure from Jamie and Trishala and Toli and James, thank you everyone for watching and for sticking with us even through through the muddy parts, the quiet parts, and the vegetation, vegetative parts. I mean, we can even try to make fun in there. And nothing better just to say goodbye with a very fluffy crested barbet that's probably trying to get back into its own bed. Hopefully, again, I'm sure Tristan will try to follow up on Hosanna. I'm sure we're all wondering where he's been. But hopefully, we'll have more surprises for everyone this afternoon.